A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Easy Aces.
The scheme which the Ace's lawyer thought of to win the $10,000 lawsuit brought against them by Mr. Neff didn't work out in court at all. Mr. Ace doesn't know it, but it was Jane's fault. She had confided the secret to Mr. Neff's young lawyer, with whom she is very friendly. This episode takes place the evening of that hectic day in court, and is in alternate scenes between the Ace's bungalow and the home of Mr. Neff. But first to the Aces, where we find them with Marge. Listen.
And not only does the scheme fall as flat as my lawyer's head, but the judge takes it out on Jane and fines her $50 for contempt of court.
Yes, $50. What?
$50 for contempt of court.
Yes, $50.
What did she do? From what you told me, she didn't do anything that was contempt of court. What did she do?
Yes, what did I do?
He can't do that to her.
Oh, he can't. Well, he has my check to show that he did.
Yes, he has
I
his
had to
check.
miss this day in court. What did she do?
Yeah, what did I do?
told you, Marge. This brilliant lawyer of mine asked Jane on the witness stand, did Mr. Neff ever make love to you? He had told Jane all she was to answer was, well, and he didn't think that she would have time to get any further because Neff's lawyer would jump up and object. Well, he didn't jump up and he didn't object. So it left Jane sitting there saying, well, and the judge kept saying, well, what? And the lawyer kept shouting, did Mr. Neff ever make love to you? And Jane kept on saying, well, oh, a fine time you pick out to laugh.
Yes, a fine time you pick out.
I can just picture Jane.
Well, picture me sitting there aging 9 or 10 years, and then picture me having to write that check. Luckily, that half-wit lawyer of mine did get a recess until tomorrow, or I don't know what I would have done.
Well, what did he say? Mr. Kelly, I mean.
Oh, he was a big help. He said he guessed the scheme must be no good.
I'll say it's no good.
Yeah, I'll say it's
Imagine
no
him
good.
dragging in a question like that in a lawsuit involving a piece of real estate. What's it got to do with this real estate deal Mr. Neff suing you over?
Yeah, what's it got to do with
Don't
this deal?
ask me. All I heard all morning from Kelly was cherchez la femme.
Yes, sure. What'd you say, dear?
What?
What'd you say?
Cherchez la femme. It means find a woman.
Find the woman.
What does he think this is? A murder case? The man must be
Not
mad.
half as mad as I was when I had to write that check.
It's a good thing a recess was called. Mistake would have still been sitting there saying,
Oh,
well...
don't remind me of that picture again.
You mean Mr. Kelly knew about this all the time?
What?
Did you say Mr. Kelly kept saying what was that again?
Cherchez la femme.
Cherchez.
It's French, Jane.
Oh, France.
Yes, cherchez means, well, literally, find or look for. Got that? Oui.
Oh, isn't that all?
And la femme means the woman. Find the woman. It's a phrase they use in tracking down a motive or a criminal. They say there's always a woman involved. Your Mr. Kelly insisted that it would work in this case, too.
You mean he knew it meant that and he let me do it?
What do you mean he knew what it meant? Of course he did.
Well, if that isn't nerve.
Nerve, I'll say it is. Only I blame myself more than I do him for letting myself be talked into this ridiculous idea.
Wait a minute. It does seem logical that Neff's lawyer should have jumped up and objected. Why didn't he?
Because he's a bigger sap, I guess, than my lawyer. He's a young punk, probably on his first case. And say, that reminds me, I've seen him somewhere. It got me again today in court. There was something awfully familiar about him.
It's behind me how Mr. Kelly could let me do that if he knew what it meant all the time.
What do you want? What are you talking about?
About Mr. Kelly. He kept saying that in French, and he knew what it meant, and he let me do it.
For what? What are you driving at?
Well, I think he had his nerve.
Listen, Jane, I have my nerves, too. Please be considerate of them. After a day like this in court, please don't sit there prattling like
let her alone. It was just as trying on her nerves,
Well-
more so probably, when she didn't hear that lawyer object. What was Mr. Neff doing? Boiling, I should say.
I'll say he was. Looked like he was going to spring a collar button any minute. I tried to run after him after court was adjourned for this recess.
You ran after him.
Yes, I wanted to apologize for all that had been going on.
Apologize?
Sure, you don't know what a guy like Neff can do. Why, he might just get it into his mind to, Well, he could sue us for defamation of character or something.
Oh, he wouldn't.
Oh, wouldn't he? As mad as he was, he'd do anything. You should have seen him running out of the place.
Running?
Yes, he saw me coming at him, and did he duck. He doesn't want any part of me. Probably had his mind made up to sue us some more right then and there. That's why I wanted to apologize. Why, if I'd have left it to my lawyer, he'd have had this case.
But, Mr. Neff, I don't understand why you want me to call off the case.
I told you why, you numbskull. They've got something on me.
But what?
Well, I can't tell you. All I can say is they've got me scared. The way that woman sat there and said, well, it was enough to give me the palsy. I was never so glad to leave a courtroom as I was today. She knows something.
But what can she know?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? Probably make yourself a nice fee out of that gold-digging woman I just got rid of. I don't want to talk about her.
Oh, then there is a woman.
I don't want to talk about it. No affair of yours. You're just hired to handle this case. No, I'm calling it off. I'm calling it off at any price.
At any price?
At any price.
What do you mean? You forget you're suing them for $10,000. They're not suing you.
Well, I don't want the money. I don't want anything. I don't want to see those people again. Especially her.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Neff. I think Mrs. Ace is a very charming lady.
Charming lady?
Yes.
Did you see her sitting there on the witness stand this morning with that lawyer of theirs barking, did Mr. Neff ever make love to you?
But I told you I found out they expected me to object, and I played smart. I wouldn't object.
Yes, but what did she do? She sat there saying, well...
Sure, that's when I was supposed to jump up and object. And when I didn't, she was stuck.
Stuck? She wasn't stuck. Not that woman. She knows something. I tell you, I'm calling the whole thing off. You're the lawyer. Now, you get me out of it as quick as you can.
But, Mr. Neff, after all, I have my professional pride to consider.
Your professional
Yes, indeed. After all, this is my first case. I want it to come to some satisfactory conclusion. I want to win it.
Oh, you want to win it. Say, who's suing for this money? Me or you?
Oh, of course, you win the money, but I win the case. It's the merit mark against my career if I don't.
The merit mark you right on the nose if you don't stop talking like that to me. I'm paying the bills for your services. Do just as I say, understand? And I'm saying that I'm withdrawing the charge against them. I'm dropping the suit. I don't want the $10,000. I don't even want the $250 advance I gave her to sell the property for me. She can have it. Yes, now, I'll even give her the other $250 I promised her if I have to.
But, Mr. Neff, you forget you're suing them. You don't have to give anything. If it's a settlement you want, I might be able to get them to make some sort of cash settlement out of court and save my face that way.
You're taking a lot of chances with your face right now, young man. Didn't you hear me tell you that I want the whole thing dropped? And at once. Well, you get busy and start getting it dropped. No. Wait a minute. I'll do the dropping. I don't want you messing this up. I'll make arrangements for Mrs. Ace to meet me at my office, and we'll talk it over.
You want to talk it over with Mrs. Ace?
Yes, I do. I don't want to take any chances of anybody else talking to her. The way she sat there on that witness stand kept saying, well, you'll have to tell me any plainer than that she knows something. I don't mind telling you I'm scared of what she knows and what she can do if she makes up her mind to do it.
And the way Jane sat there saying, well, it looked like she was positively leering at old man Neff. I wouldn't blame him if he sued us for every cent we... Say, I know what I'm going to do.
What?
I'm going to make him the grand gesture and offer to settle this case out of court.
Settle it? But do you think Mr. Neff will
Oh,
agree
I'm
to...
afraid to think what Mr. Neff will say. If he's going to be as hard to get to as he was when I tried to corner him this morning... Say, I know what. Jane.
It's behind me how Mr. Kelly knew about all the time about
Will you
this.
stop that? Listen to me.
What?
You know where Mr. Neff's office is, don't you?
Mr. Neff's office?
Yes, you went there when you...
Oh, sure. I was there when he gave me the $250 in advance.
Yes. Now, look. How about you going up there and... Oh, what's the use? You'll mix it all up.
No, I won't. What is it?
You can only do one thing right, just once in your life.
I will. What do you want there?
Well, look.
Oh,
here's
now,
what...
wait a minute. Don't you think you ought to consult with Mr. Kelly before you do anything you might be sorry for?
Don't be sorry for what? If I can settle this for half the money I made out of the deal...
What? You're going to hand over $5,000 to old man Neff?
I'd rather do that than face what he can do to us. Why, do you know that he can sue us for...
I still say you ought to talk to Mr. Kelly first. He's your lawyer.
Yeah, fine lawyer. He got us into this. I don't want any part of him. I'm going to do this before he gets a chance to put in his 2 cents worth and spoil it. Now, Jane.
Yes?
Now, here's what I want you to do. Go up to Neff's office.
Now?
No, not now. He's not there. Wait till I tell you. Go up to his office and offer to make a cash settlement. Not a cent more than $5,000. You understand?
Not a cent more than $5,000.
Yes. Explain to him that I made $10,000 on the deal, and I'm willing to split it with him. It's just like finding it for him. Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Well, you don't look it. Open your ears for once in your life.
They're open, see?
Oh.
They look open all right.
Explain to him that you made $10,000 on the deal and you're willing to split it with him. It's just like finding it for him. Isn't that what you said?
Verbatim.
Well, I can't help it. It sounded like
Well, that was it. You amaze me.
See, Marge? Go ahead there.
That's all. If you'll do this right. Oh, I wish I could do it.
Well, why can't
Well,
you?
he won't talk to me. I saw the way you ran out on me when he saw me coming towards him in court this morning. Now, look, Jane, we've got only about 3 days to do this. Thank heaven Kelly got us to recess for a few days. I'll ditch Kelly until we put this over.
Oh, every time I think of Mr. Kelly, I get
Don't
mad.
forget about him.
I wish I could. But after you told me that he said, what was that, Marge?
Cherchez la femme.
Yeah, find the woman you said it means.
That's what it means.
And he knew it meant that, and he let me do it. That's the part I can't get over. What does he think we are, rich millionaires?
What are you talking about?
Find the woman. He knew that would happen.
He knew what would happen.
When he asked me that question about, did Mr. Neff ever make love to me, and the judge did it.
Did what?
Find the woman.
Find the woman.
Yes, he knew all the time the judge was going to find me $50. That's the part I can't get over.
Well, we could understand the confusion. But what now? We learn some rather interesting developments tomorrow when next we meet the Easy Aces.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a bunco detail. An experienced confidence man has set up operations in your city. From his first 2 victims, he gets more than $8,000. You've got one good lead on the suspect, his method of operation. Your job, get him.
Prove Fatima quality yourself today.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
You'll find Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
You'll find Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, Fatima gives you more for your money.
Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, December 9th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunco Detail. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Steve. My name's Friday. I was on the way into the office, and it was 7:50 a.m. when I got to room 38. Bunco Detail.
Good morning, Joe.
Hi, Charlie. How'd you make out yesterday?
Nothing.
No luck at all, huh?
Nothing's going to help us much. Got the same description on the guy. Used the same name, same M.O. Didn't get anything we don't already know about him. How about you? Your luck any better?
About the same. Checked out the building where the suspect rented office space. He moved out 3 days ago. No forwarding address. Checked the hotel he was supposed to be stopping at. Didn't pan out.
Give him time. He'll stick his neck out again.
Well, it doesn't guarantee we'll reach him. Too late to start when the complaints come in. We're going to have to dig up a faster way of getting to him.
Hey, you got a match?
Yeah, sure, Charlie. Here you are.
Thanks.
You bet.
Oh, by the way, what's this I hear about your partner?
What?
Ed Jacobs understands you're losing him.
Oh, yeah, temporarily anyway.
What's the deal?
Well, he's going on a loan out up at the academy. Going to be an instructor up there 2 months anyway, maybe more.
When does this happen?
Tomorrow, the 10th.
Well, what are you going to do for a partner? You and Ken going to work together?
No, the captain's bringing in a new man, a young fella. He's been working in the business office.
You mean the big Irish kid works the early morning?
No, this boy's been working days. His name's Bill Lockwood. I asked for him as soon as I found out I was going to lose Ed.
You know him?
Well, a little bit, yeah. You remember Ben Romero?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Lockwood's a nephew of Ben's, sister's boy. Tall, red hair.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him around. Seems to be a nice enough kid. A good record, is it?
Well, the captain thinks so. Figures he ought to work in pretty well.
Oh, by the way, have you seen Ben's wife lately?
Yeah, I did a couple of weeks ago. Seems to be doing all right. Still Mrs. Ben, of course.
Yeah, I imagine.
The little boy's sure getting big. Looks a lot like his dad, too.
Miss him quite a bit yourself, huh?
Yeah, Charlie, I guess I do.
Well, I better get on my horse. I got some checking to do. I hope the Lockwood boy works out for you.
Well, I think he'll do all right.
Can't say I'd be crazy about the idea myself.
How do you mean?
Breaking in a new man. No detective experience. When I go out to pick up a thief, I like to figure I've got some good backing. I mean, a partner I'm used to. Tough enough watching out for yourself, let alone a green youngster.
Well, somebody had to do it for us. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I suppose.
I remember when I first started. It didn't come much greener than me. Partner did all the work, took all the chances, helped me every foot of the way. He never mentioned it once. I never forgot that. He's a good cop.
What was his name?
Ben Romero. In our particular setup, before a man's eligible to apply for duty in the Detective Bureau, he has to have a minimum of 5 years' experience as a police officer, either assigned to radio patrol, traffic duty, or some other general assignment. After the initial 5 years of service, the men go through a screening process to determine which department and which job they'll fit into best, some position that they seem to show a natural aptitude for. If a man applies for duty in a division of the Detective Bureau, and if he's accepted, he's assigned a partner to work with the day he goes on the job, generally a working detective with some experience. In the case of Ben's nephew, Bill Lockwood, he put in his first 5 years working Wilshire traffic and also doing radio patrol in Hollenbeck and 77th Street divisions. After spending another 11 months in our business office, Captain Steed put in a request for him, and he was transferred. When I heard Ed Jacobs was going to be loaned to the police academy as an instructor, I talked to Captain Steed about Lockwood, and he assigned him as my new partner. The changeover happened in the middle of one of the toughest investigations we'd had in months. A bunco artist who was working hard at the business opportunities racket. The following morning, December 10th, Bill Lockwood reported in for work, and we drove out to check a potential lead on the suspect. On the way, I laid out the case for him.
Nothing on the man in R&I, huh? No record at all?
No, not as far as we know, Bill. Checked Brereton up at Sacramento, CII. Nothing doing there. He couldn't help us.
What have you been going on? His description?
Yeah, that and his M.O. and his name. He uses a different alias on each job. Russell Preston, that was the last name he used.
I see. He usually starts by putting a want ad in the paper, is that it?
Well, he rents himself an office first, usually a pretty expensive one, well-furnished. Then he hires a good-looking secretary, has her put a want ad in the daily papers for him, and he's in business.
How do the ads read? The usual?
Yeah, typical thing you see in the daily paper. A business opportunity for people with vision, good investment, high profits. Apply now, you know. And then he gives his address and phone number. There's nothing clever about it, but people still go for it.
You get many replies, do you know?
Well, we figure he got between 20 and 30 on that last deal he pulled. Seems all he has to do is land one victim out of the bunch with enough money, and he's got it made. Took his first victim here for $5,000. Second one for $3,200. Both elderly women. Took them for their last dollar.
About the way he sets up the deal with these different businessmen, Joe, I don't think I got it quite straight.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, say the owner of that manufacturing plant this Russell Preston lined up.
Yeah.
You say Preston went to the plant, introduced himself as a business advisor, told the owner of the plant he had some people with money to invest. He convinced the owner he was legitimate.
Yeah, that's right.
And Preston had his two victims shown through the plant and convinced them they ought to invest their money in the business.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you mean to say the plant owners were acting in good faith?
Well, they were all checked out, Bill. Everything about them. They all have good business reputations. They didn't know any more about the deal than the victims. They needed more capital for their business, and they figured this was it.
This Preston, or whatever his name is, sure must have a line that won't stop.
He's got everything that goes with it. Nice clothes, well-mannered, good-looking. He doesn't try to high-pressure anybody. Tells them if they have confidence in him, he'd be glad to invest their money. If they hedge it all, he shows them right through the office.
Pretty good pitch. Once they're sold on him, he's got them over a barrel.
It's about the size of it, yeah.
Funny there's no record on him. Sure sounds like he's had a lot of experience. What are the other names he's used, do you remember?
Well, just two of them we know of. Russell R. Preston and George A. Fairchild.
I guess the newspapers have been checked out, huh? The ones he ran the what ads in?
Yeah, they've all been talked to. All their personnel have been notified to watch for ads of that type. Be one way to get a lead on him if he tries again.
Well, what about the buildings where he rented office space? Couldn't the people there help any?
Well, they confirmed his description. We picked up samples of his handwriting. That's about it. He only rented the offices long enough to cover his deal, about 2 weeks. Let's see, what 100 block is this bill? Can you see over there?
Let's see. Yeah, 1700.
Well, we want the next one, 1811.
Who's this woman we're going to talk to? Vivian Castle, that right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if she's the right girl or not. Got the lead from an employment agency. Chance she might be the girl Preston hired to be a secretary. I don't know.
Oh, good parking place up there ahead, huh?
Yeah, that's good. You pull up anywhere along here. It's fine.
Two doors down, Joe. Real estate office. 1811.
Yeah, I see it. Good morning.
Good morning. Can I help you?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to a Miss Castle, Vivian Castle.
Oh, I'm Vivian Castle.
Here's our identification. This is my partner, Officer Lockwood. My name's Friday.
How do you do?
How do you do? What is it you want, officers?
We'd like to find out if you know a George Fairchild, ma'am.
Fairchild? No, I don't know anyone by that name.
How about a Russell Preston, miss? That mean anything to you?
Well, I used to work for Mr. Preston, Russell Preston.
About how long ago was that?
A month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. Where does he have his offices?
Well, he did have them on South Grand near 8th, the old Belmont Harris building. Why?
Would you mind describing Mr. Preston for us, ma'am? Just a general description of him.
He was about 45 years old. Brown hair, a little gray. Nice build. Seemed to be a very nice man at first. Always dressed so nice. Just wore a dark blue suit. Seemed to be very nice.
Checks out so far, Joe.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling me what it's about?
We'd like to locate Mr. Preston, ma'am. You any idea where he is now?
I wish I did. I'd call the State Labor Commission. He seemed like such a nice man. I've never been so disappointed in my life.
How do you mean, Miss Castle?
He owes me 2 weeks' pay, $65 a week. Hired me as a private secretary. Good jobs aren't hard to get now either. He can't say he was giving me a break when he hired me. Are you from the Labor Commission?
No, ma'am, we're not. Could you tell us how long you worked for this Mr. Preston?
Just for 3 weeks. He said I was going to get paid every Friday. Gave me the money for the first week, and that's all. Kept waiting for my pay, but he kept putting me off. Last week and a half, he didn't even show up at the office. I was there all alone, 8 hours a day. Finally, the building manager showed up and told me it was all over. Mr. Preston closed the office. Didn't even have the decency to come in and say thank you, goodbye. I just left.
And you have no idea at all where Mr. Preston is now?
No, sir, I wish I did.
Were there any office files, mail files, any way to get a possible line on him?
Not as far as I know. I didn't keep any files for him. Matter of fact, I didn't do any work at all. Just a showpiece, I guess that's all he kept me there for. There's no reason why he shouldn't pay me, though. Are you sure you're not from the Labor Commission?
Did Mr. Preston ever have you place any want ads in the daily papers, Miss Castle?
Yeah, he did a couple of times. Ads for business opportunities, you know. He was in the investment business, helped people invest their money.
Would you happen to know anyone who invested money with him? I mean, would you know them by name?
No, not by name. Quite a few people came through the office. I know a few of them made deals with Mr. Preston. I wouldn't remember their names, though.
And you don't know any friends he might have had in town? Any of his business associates?
No, sir, not a one. I didn't know he had any associates.
How about where he was staying, Miss Castle? You must have known that.
Yeah, the first week I was there, I did. It's the only week I got paid for. He was staying at a small hotel on South Flower. He moved the next week, though. I don't know where he went after that. Neither does the hotel. I asked them.
Well, during the time you worked for him, ma'am, did you ever have anything to do with Mr. Preston socially? I mean, was it part of your job to go out to dinner with him, things like that?
I did once or twice when he asked me. I didn't think it was part of my job, though. Mr. Preston didn't mention it either. Once we went out to dinner, just the two of us. Another time we went out with my girlfriend, Norma. I had a terrible time. Mr. Preston was awful.
And how do you mean, miss?
Well, he drank too much and was throwing his weight around. You know, the boss. And he kept making a play for my girlfriend, Norma. I think he liked her quite a bit. Sure was embarrassing, though. Look, would you mind telling me what's the matter? Is Mr. Preston in trouble with the police?
Yes, ma'am, I'm afraid so. He's cheated some people out of quite a bit of money. It's not the first time either.
Well, what was it? What did he do?
Confidence scheme. Selling interest in a company he had no connection with.
That isn't the limit. I guess it's my own fault. I should have known better. It's happened before.
Ma'am?
They hire you. They give you a beautiful office, nice soft chair to sit on. They never give you any work to do. You don't have to lift a finger. I finally got the drift.
Yeah.
Those are the kind you have to watch out for.
Bill Lockwood and I continued questioning the former secretary of Russell Preston, alias George Fairchild, but she was unable to come up with any kind of a definite lead as to the suspect's whereabouts. We left our card with the girl, and she promised to contact us in the event she came across any information regarding Preston. For the rest of the day, we ran down 3 more possible leads. They came from an informant, a head waiter in a second-rate nightclub, a small-time grifter with an axe to grind. And they all figured they had the right answer, where to find Preston. We checked out the 3 locations they gave us, a motel out near Santa Monica, a rooming house in Hollywood, a cocktail lounge in Highland Park. Not one of the 3 paid off. Russell Preston, alias George Fairchild, wasn't known at any of the places, either by name, dress, or physical description. During the next 3 weeks, along with Sergeants Charlie Riblett and Ken Scarce of Bunco Detail, Bill Lockwood and I ran down every possible lead on the suspect. Hotels, the want-ad departments of the daily papers, managers of downtown office buildings, secretarial employment agencies, small businesses advertising stock for sale. They got us nothing. Despite all the precautions and all the legwork, on January 6th, we got a call from a Mrs. Marie Barrett in the Westlake Park area. She owned and managed a toy shop just off Wilshire Boulevard. Bill Lockwood and I drove out to talk to her.
Yes, they told me it was the opportunity of a lifetime, a big opportunity. I just can't believe it. Can't understand it. Why, he even took me out and showed me the factory. Him and the man who ran the place. They're making plastics. Showed me the whole plant.
You said the plant was out in Glendale, ma'am. Whereabouts?
It was right along San Fernando Road, maybe a mile or 2 before you get to the airport. They showed me through the whole plant.
Who showed you through, Miss Barrett?
Owner of the place in this, Mr. Fairchild. It's a big place, making plastics of all kinds. Can't say I wasn't impressed.
What was Mr. Fairchild's first name? Do you remember?
George Fairchild and Associates. That was the name on the door of the office when I went up to see him. Of course, I really didn't have a notion to invest any money when I first went up. It was a newspaper ad, you know, and I answered lots of them. Kind of a hobby with me.
Yes, ma'am.
So I went up to see him, and we talked. And as I say, I wasn't thinking of investing any money, but Mr. Fairchild seemed like such a nice man. Seemed to have a good business head on his shoulders. Well, ended up with me putting my whole savings account into the plastics plant. $6,400, every penny of it. I haven't heard from Mr. Fairchild since. I just don't know what to think. I can't understand it.
Do you have any idea where to contact this Fairchild now? Any address, telephone number?
Well, I called his office. It's in the Oxford Exchange building.
Mm-hmm.
There's no answer, though. They say it's disconnected. I've been trying for a week to contact Mr. Fairchild. I mean, $6,400. I just don't know what to do. It's all my savings. I don't know what to do. Oh, excuse me, please. Customer can't afford to miss the sale now.
Yes, ma'am. You go right ahead.
Ellen, will you help this lady, please?
Looks like he scored again, huh?
I wouldn't doubt it. She seems to do a fair business here, huh? I mean, after Christmas and all.
Yeah, I suppose. Of course, the women go for it. You hang up a sale sign, you can't beat them off with a club.
That's right.
See this gadget here? Pretty clever, huh?
Yeah. Miniature Sherman tank. What's it do?
Watch.
Yeah, well, how about that?
Pretty cute, isn't it? Cannons on the side, sparks coming out. My nephew got one for Christmas. It's got a lot of power. Treads will climb over just about anything.
Uh-huh.
Sorry to keep you waiting, officers. Customers have to be attended to.
Surely we understand. Now, about this money you gave Fairchild and Miss Barrett, the $6,400, how'd you work that? I mean, did you give him a check, or how'd you do it?
Oh, yes, I gave him a check. It was cashed the same day I gave it to him. I found that out from the bank.
What was it you were supposed to get for your money, ma'am?
Interest in the plastics company, 1/5 interest. Seemed like such a good idea at the time.
Did you ever discuss the deal with the owners of the plastics company? I mean, when Mr. Fairchild wasn't around?
No, I guess I never did. Mr. Fairchild didn't think it was a good idea. Said he wanted me to get the most for my money, and said he was afraid if the company owners talked to me alone, they might argue me into taking less profit. Didn't want me to talk to him at all if he wasn't around.
And you weren't suspicious of him at all, huh?
Mr. Fairchild? No. Very nice man. There are a few things he did that made me a little uncertain, but he always explained everything to me. He always had a good reason for everything he did. Nice man, clean-cut, well-dressed, beautiful manners. Never take him for anything but a gentleman. You'll see what I mean. Wait till you meet him.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a perfect gentleman. I don't know what to think. I can't call him a crook. He just isn't that kind.
Well, he took your money, Miss Barrett.
Yes.
What else would you call him? 2:18 p.m. When we got through interviewing the latest victim, Marie Barrett, Bill Lockwood and I drove out to the plastics company on San Fernando Road where we talked to the owner and manager. The story was pretty much the same. The suspect, using the name of George Fairchild, had called on them 3 weeks before, introducing himself as an investment counselor. He told them he had clients with money to invest in a growing industry such as theirs, and they went for the story. They told us Fairchild had come back 2 or 3 times with different persons whom he introduced as his clients. They'd been shown through the plastics plant and given a sales talk. That's about all the company owners could tell us. When we got back to the office, we checked their names through the regular business channels and found out they were reputable businessmen. There was nothing to indicate that they had anything to do with the suspect's bunco operations. 4:30 p.m.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, Bill.
Girl out here to see us, the one who used to be Preston's secretary, Vivian Castle.
Oh, yeah. She say what she wanted?
No, seems a little anxious.
Officer, I'm glad I found you in.
How are you, Miss Castle?
I'm all right. I was going to phone you, but I couldn't remember your number. Lost the card you gave me, so I decided to come down. You remember talking to me, don't you, about Mr. Preston, my old boss?
Yes, ma'am. Have you heard from him?
Well, no, I haven't, but you remember me telling you about my girlfriend, Norma?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the time Mr. Preston took me out, Norma and her boyfriend were with us?
Yes, ma'am.
And the way Mr. Preston kept making a play for Norma. Well, I saw Norma at lunchtime today, first time in weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She told me she got a call from Mr. Preston. I told her I'd tell you all about it. She's got a date with him.
When?
For dinner Friday night.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make you this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Fatima gives you more for your money. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Wednesday, January 6th, 4:50 p.m. We called Vivian Castle's girlfriend, Norma Cummings, and then we drove out to talk to her. The Cummings girl told us that Russell Preston had telephoned that morning and made the date with her for Friday night at 7:30. He said they were to have dinner at a nightclub out in the Wilshire district. He also mentioned to her that he was staying in a hotel, but she didn't know the name of the location. We made arrangements for a stakeout at Norma Cummings' apartment. The girl agreed to cooperate with us. Thursday, January 7th. We checked with the personnel at the different restaurants, bars, and nightclubs which Preston and the Cummings girl were to visit. Some of them remembered Preston, but as far as they knew, he hadn't been back. We left our cards with each one of them, and we asked him to contact us if he should return. Just after lunch on Friday, we got a phone call from Norma Cummings.
When was that, miss? Uh-huh. Did you find out where he was? I see. Mm-hmm. Will you be there for the rest of the day? All right, fine. Yeah, we'll call you back. Goodbye.
Yeah?
Cummings girl. She's at work. She just had a phone call from Preston. She tried to find out where he was. No go.
Well, what did he have to say?
That dinner date he had with her tonight?
Yeah.
He called it off.
Later that afternoon, we went out and talked to the Cummings girl. She told us Preston explained on the phone that he had to cancel a date that night because of some business deal that had come up. He told her he'd get in touch with her over the weekend. He didn't. By Thursday of the following week, she still hadn't heard from him. 2 days later, on a Saturday afternoon, we got a call from one of the cocktail lounges Preston had visited. The bartender remembered us being in there to inquire about the suspect, and he'd saved our card. He said Preston was there now with another man drinking at the bar. We asked the bartender to try and delay the suspect as long as possible. Then we got in the car and drove to the location. It was too late. The bartender explained that he tried to delay the man that he thought was Preston, but he didn't have much luck. The suspect had left a few minutes after the bartender had called us. He'd been drinking heavily. The man Preston had been with was still there. He was sitting at an old upright piano in the back of the place trying to pick out a tune with one finger. Bill and I went back and talked to him. He gave his name as Fred Sandell.
Yeah, that's right. I was drinking with a fellow. Why? What's the matter, officer?
Did you ever see the man before?
Yeah, once or twice.
In here?
No, a place up the street, 780 Club. I had a couple of drinks with him in there.
You know his name?
Well, what's the angle? You want him for something?
Oh, it's just a routine check. We'd like to talk to him.
Well, I don't know. I might know his name.
Yeah.
Well, what's the angle on the thing? You want him for something big?
We want to talk to him, that's all.
Did he pull a heist? Something like that? Hey, he didn't look like that kind of guy. Oh, lousy thing, and then we could get that right.
How about it? You say you might know the man's name. What was it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm the one that ought to tell you.
How do you mean?
Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I want to give out names. What's the angle on him? You want him for something big or what?
Big enough, yeah.
Oh. Well, his name's Preston, I think. That's the name he gave me, anyway. I see him around bars in the neighborhood every once in a while.
How much do you know about him?
Well, not much. I had a few drinks with him now and then, talked a little bit. That's about all.
What did you say your name was?
Sandell, Fred Sandell. Well, what's the angle on this, Preston?
We want to get in touch with him. You know where he lives?
I don't know. I might. You want him for something big, isn't that right?
Well, what's the difference? We want him.
Well, it could be a lot of difference. I mean, what's the angle? If it's important to you and I helped you, well, you'd probably want to do the right thing, huh?
I don't know if I got you right.
Well, I mean, if you really want the guy, you know. If it's important to you and I helped you reach him, you'd want to make it square with me, wouldn't you? Huh? And not that I'm asking for payoff. You understand that?
Yeah, we understand. Where's Preston live?
Well, I didn't say I knew where the guy lives. I didn't say that.
Do you know where he lives?
Well, I'm not sure. Am I? I don't know if I'll tell you, though. I don't.
All right, you want to stand by here, Bill? I better check in.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
City Hall.
2625, please.
2625.
Racket Bureau, huh?
Yeah, John, this is Joe Friday, Bunco.
Yeah, Friday.
I'd like to check on a suspect, John. He gives the name of Fred Sandell. He's a WMA, about 45, 5'10", 170 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, ruddy complexion, small scar just below the left ear.
Okay. Want me to call you back on that?
Yeah, would you please? I'm at Dunkirk, 35016.
Right, I'll call you.
Thanks. Oh, say, John, could you switch me over to Bunco, please? I'm calling from outside.
Yeah, sure. Hang on.
Thank you.
Yes?
Would you switch?
Switch this call over to Bunco detail, please?
Bunco detail, surely.
Bunco, Ripley.
Joe Friday, Charlie. Anything doing?
Oh, yeah, Joe, quite a bit. That suspect of yours, Russell Preston,
Mm-hmm.
he's been picked up.
Yeah? Well, how'd that happen?
A radio car picked him up 8th and South Grand. Drunk charge, I understand. He was pretty well plastered, wandering around in the middle of the street. Had quite a bit of money on him. They brought him into robbery for questioning.
Are you sure he's Preston?
Yeah, description checks. A couple of sets of identification on him, too. One for Russell Preston, one for George Fairchild.
Well, where they got him now?
Next door, interrogation room. Ken Scarce is talking to him. He's copying out on 2 of the jobs he pulled.
Okay, Charlie. Thanks a lot. We'll be right in.
Right, Joe.
All right, bye. Bill, see you a minute.
Yeah.
You might as well check in. Preston's been picked up.
When?
Probably just after you left this bar. A radio car spotted him, pulled him in.
How about that?
Yeah.
You work 2 months on a case, then just when we start to get close, somebody else picks the guy up.
Yeah, that's right. It's not very exciting, is it?
You know, I was just thinking, officer, I don't want to be a hardhead about this thing, you know. I mean, if you want this guy Preston, I'd be glad I'd help you find him. I don't want to be a hardhead.
Excuse me a minute. Yeah.
John Hunter, Friday, Racket Bureau.
Oh, yeah, John.
I got a make on that name you asked for, Fred Sandell. There's a warrant on him. Grand theft auto. Got a pretty long record. You want me to read it off?
No, that's all right, John.
Right. Bye.
Right, thank you.
Well, what do you say, Sergeant? Suppose we sit down and have a drink and talk things over. And I'll show you where I think this Preston hangs out. I mean, if we make the right deal,
Well, it's already been made. You want to grab your top coat there? We'd like to talk to you downtown.
Me? What for? What are you talking about?
Grand theft auto. They want you, mister.
Oh, wait a minute. You made a mistake. You didn't come in here looking for me. You're not even assigned to my case. Well, this ain't fair.
Get your coat. Let's go.
Yeah, but this ain't fair. You come in here looking for Preston. You didn't want me.
We do now.
Well, what kind of a deal do you call that? You're looking for Preston. You picked me up. Well, what's the angle?
There's no angle. Some days you got to settle for less, that's all. Come on, let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On April 5th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, I sincerely hope you'll remember tomorrow what we've told you about Fatima tonight. You remember we said that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. Well, we'd like you to try a pack and prove that to your own satisfaction. You'll find Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. And remember this, Fatima gives you more for your money. When you buy cigarettes, look for the bright, sunny yellow pack and buy Fatima. I know you'll like them.
Russell R. Preston, alias George Fairchild, alias Robert Fairchild, was tried and convicted on 3 counts of grand theft. Fred Sandell was tried and convicted of grand theft, 1 count. Both men received sentences as prescribed by law. They are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. Grand theft is punishable by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Martin Milner, Marion Richmond, Vic Rodman. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now it's Counter Spy on NBC.
The American Broadcasting Company presents Pat Novak for Hire. Sure, I'm Pat Novak for Hire. I got a couple of boats down on Pier 19 on the San Francisco waterfront. Sometimes I rent them out, but I found out it's easier to keep my budget healthy by risking my health in other ways. So I work around doing odd jobs. You can take that any way you like. But the best you can say for it is that it beats begging. At least you don't always limp. If your luck's in, you can keep a half lap ahead of the bill collectors if you don't let it go to your head. I did once. I helped a guy who owned 7 hotels convince a blonde in San Rafael that her memory wasn't that good after all. The payoff was too rich for my blood. I got the idea that with that kind of money, I could take over the gambling joints up around Lake Tahoe. It took them 3 days to show me I was wrong. I'd worked my way down from the gold-plated joints to a place called the Broken T, where they still recognized the dollar as currency. I was beginning to figure how long it'd take me to walk back to the bay when the help came along. He was a little guy with a pair of eyes I wouldn't trust with anything I wanted again. The kind of quiet, dark clothes that'd make it easy to get lost in an alley. He knew me.
Well, Novak, not doing so hard, are you?
I eat.
You want to make a quick buck?
There must be a reason. Tell me that first.
I'm hot. I shook the wheels down for a flock of dough.
You call that trouble?
Not yet. But I like to look ahead. How do I know these guys like it that I got all their money?
If it hurts you, give it back. They'll take it.
I got a better idea. I want to take it down to San Francisco.
Look, Crocker owns the Southern Pacific. If you got an urge to travel, talk to him. If you got a proposition, spread it out.
I'm driving down. It's a lonely road. I want you to go along as a bodyguard.
If these guys are out to hijack your roll, 2 of us won't stop them any more than 1. They come in bunches when they want to.
Do you want the job, or are you going to talk me out of it?
I'll ride down with you for $200.
You charge a lot for a ride.
You said it's risky, remember?
Okay, here's 50. You get the rest in San Francisco. I see you outside in 5 minutes. My name's Brown. I'll be waiting in my car.
Brown, huh?
Yeah, Brown. John Brown. Want to make something of it?
How can you? He was a quiet guy. We drove along for a couple of hours, and you could have repeated all he said on one deep breath. I kept watching the cars along the road, waiting for the muscle boys to show up, but nothing happened. Pretty soon I got the feeling that they weren't after him at all. I guess he'd seen too many movies. I finished off a pack of cigarettes as we got down out of the mountains and got him to stop at a roadside joint for reloads. He wouldn't leave the car, so I was all alone when the girl came up to me at the bar.
You going down to San Francisco?
Something like that.
You got room for me?
How far are you going?
That depends on who I'm with.
You might be handy at that. Car's without a heater. I don't have to own it.
So you'll keep one hand on the wheel.
So you better ask the guy who does. He's sitting out in the car.
Why don't he come in?
Don't build him up so fast. I got a car, too.
Where'd you get it? Steal it?
You selling medical insurance, maybe?
Why?
You're going to need it if you keep elbowing into my face.
Speaking of elbows, what do you mean trying to muscle in on my dame?
Are you 2 together?
Yeah, why?
That's what I've been wondering. Why? So long, sucker.
What do you make of that?
I'd say you're out. You don't have to slide.
You're to blame for this.
Yeah. And tomorrow I'm going to make it rain.
I can start a storm right now.
Go right ahead. You got the wind.
Wait.
You cooled him nice, stranger. What started that?
Bad habits.
Yeah?
Uh-huh. Too many cigarettes. I guess I didn't have to hit the guy. I was all geared up over the ride. I had to take it out on somebody. Outside, the air was cold and clear. A river made soothing noises in the darkness. I figured it'd be an easy night from then on in. But Brown was having the fidgets.
Come on, Novak. Let's get going.
Where's the dame?
What dame?
One came out here. A hitchhiker. Wanted to ride to town.
I didn't see any dame. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, that's queer.
What's queer? Let's go, let's go.
Suddenly you're nervous. What's the matter?
When I need a doctor, Novak, I know where to find one.
Yeah? Can you find one whose shakes synchronize with yours? Otherwise, he's going to have a tough time with your pulse. From there on into town, John Brown didn't say a word. When we came across the Bay Bridge, he stopped in the terminal and made a phone call. Then we drove up to his place, a big corner apartment house up near the Civic Center. He told me to wait in the car while he went in to put away the money. I sat and smoked cigarettes and watched the dawn begin to light up the long, empty streets. I must have been there half an hour before anything happened. And then it all began to happen at once, starting with Hellman. A homicide detective with a grudge against the world that he takes out on me.
I hope I didn't keep you waiting, Novak.
Well, what got you out of bed, Hellman? Can't be insomnia. That takes conscience.
You'd be the sort to know about that. Mind if I look the car over?
Why not? I didn't steal this one. I prefer Roadster.
John Brown, huh? Now, there's a name. Where have I heard that before?
That's a foreign name. Polish, I think.
That's not where I heard it. It was broadcast in connection with a stolen car.
Try again. The keys, see?
So maybe he was careless and left his keys in his car.
Yeah, maybe I'm whimsical and changed my name to Brown. Go on, Hellman. You can't pin anything on me.
No. Give me the keys.
What for?
I'm looking in the trunk. We got a tip.
Not on this crate. We just got in from Tahoe. Nobody knows we're here.
Sure. And if you aren't here, I guess there's nothing in the trunk either.
I'll bite. What'd you find?
A body. A girl's body. I'm not intruding, am I?
Not on me. You better get Brown. He's in the apartment there.
Sure. But won't you be lonely?
Look, Brown hired me to ride down from Tahoe with him. He cleaned up at the tables and wanted protection for his role. It's his car and his girl. Let's get him.
All right, come on. Oh, Brown listed. Nervous? Upset? Maybe you need a rest.
Framed.
Sure, somebody else did it. Shame on them. Come on, Novak.
The girl was a pickup, a hitchhiker. Why should he kill her?
I got a better question for you. Where can I get a lawyer?
I saw a purse with the body. Let's look it over.
Don't tell me you didn't rob her, too.
The purse didn't turn up much. Some keys, a little mad money, makeup stuff. A letter to Alice Stone with an address out in the Potrero district. The letter was no good, just a guy trying to patch up a split. I had a hunch that Brown must have known Alice. That was the only way the killing made sense. I needed to get some dope on Brown. I needed to know about Alice. Hellman took Brown's address off the registration card, and I couldn't see where that had helped me any. No one had seen us together all the way down from Tahoe. Even if Brown were picked up, he could swear he'd never seen her before. With the car listed as stolen, he was a cinch to prove it. Yeah, I needed help bad. So I started looking for my old friend Jocko Madigan, an ex-doctor turned boozer who had more connections around town than the water department. I ran him down in a trap on Ellis Street trying to hold back the recession in liquor sales.
Hello, Patsy, my boy. Join me. This is the first one today.
Look, I'm in trouble, Jocko.
You're in trouble. Think how I feel.
What's the matter, sick?
No, just worried. I was reading in the paper here that the good ship Clyde Harris went down off the New England coast last night with 10,000 cases of scotch on board.
Yeah, there's some left. Listen, Jocko, I'm in a jam.
When did that become news?
I was up at Tahoe, and a guy hired me to drive him down here.
He didn't know you.
It turns out the car is stolen, and there's a body in it. And the guy's disappeared.
Well, I don't blame him.
The body belonged to a girl named Alice Stone. At this address.
10,000 cases of scotch. Can you imagine that? No.
And the way I figure it, the girl must have known the killer. I'm not very sure that John Brown, who claims his car was stolen, is innocent either. It's mighty strange that he left the car keys lying around.
What do you want me to do?
Get on the grapevine. Find out if this John Brown is tied up in the rackets. The same for Alice Stone. Find out if they ran around with each other. Whatever you can about them.
All right, Patsy, but you'll have to wait. I've got to catch up on my drinking first.
Can't you lay off this stuff for a little while?
Are you telling me how to live my life again? You who consort with murderers, car thieves, and women of dubious ways? Push the bottle over here.
Look, Jocko. See if you can put the finger on a neat little guy with a pair of con man's eyes. Black hair, toy mustache, and dresses like Dapper Dan. About 150 pounds.
Imagine you trying to tell me how to live. You who've got more bad habits than a dope fiend's convention.
The guy goes for dark, expensive clothes. He doesn't talk much unless he has to.
When I drink, I get the hangover. All you have to do is breathe regularly, and trouble's all over town. You had any social conscience, you'd go somewhere and hang yourself. I can't understand how I tolerate having you around.
Will you get a line on the guy for me?
From the way you described him, it ought to be a lay-down cinch. There's only about 10,000 men in town who'd fit that description. Will 100 or so of them be enough?
I want one. It's a long gamble. But try, will you, Jocko?
Imagine that, with the ocean full of ships hauling guano, bones, cattle, oil, lumber, pineapples, sugar, old newspapers, and gunny sacks. The one boat that has to sink.
Will you get on it?
Oh, there's no hurry. It's only you at stake. So long, lover.
I grabbed some breakfast, picked up a cab, and went out to the address of Alice Stone. It matched a wooden house that looked 2 years older in Utah that was trying to lie about it with a new plaster front and a fresh set of doorknobs. It looked like it had been built by an amateur who read the blueprints upside down. A dame answered the door. She was about tie-pin high to a 6-footer, and she had red hair. The heavy, wavy kind that made you think she must be healthy. And that wasn't hard to do anyway. The way she filled out her morning coat didn't leave much to worry about, except the seams. She could talk, too.
Neighborhood's improving.
You know Alice Stone?
Sure, she lives here. I might have known she'd see you first.
Who are you?
My name's Skip Harper, and Alice isn't home. What can you do with that?
How do you know I want to? Maybe I'm a salesman.
Look, mister, You aren't fooling anybody. You look about as much like a salesman as I do a decoy duck. Now, what do you want with Alice? Or do you have to be particular?
I can't use her. She's dead.
A salesman. With 5 o'clock shadow at 10... Did you say dead?
Yeah. They found her in a car downtown this morning.
You're a cop.
You're wrong. Why should it worry you?
What do you mean?
Do you know who did it?
I don't know anything. I just don't like jams. Tell me how it happened.
We were coming down from Tahoe. She was in a roadside hamburger trap. She asked me for a ride, and I sent her out to talk to a guy who owns the car. The next time I saw her, she was tucked away in the trunk.
Why'd a guy kill her? Just like that?
That's what I'm after. Maybe he just didn't like James. There's probably a better reason.
You think maybe he knew her?
Yeah. That's where you can earn a gold star. Did you know anybody by the name of John Brown?
Describe him.
He was playing the wheel at the Broken T out near Tahoe. Smooth little guy, about 2 sizes over a jockey. Waxed mustache, the pair of eyes you could use to freeze fish.
So, that one. Oh, yeah. I know him.
Give me an introduction.
His name's Brown, all right. I didn't know his first name before. He's a small-time hustler around town. Used to take Alice out now and then when he felt like tearing up a nightclub. Cops arrest him yet?
Hellman, a homicide dick, is knocking on his door about now. I don't expect him to be home.
No, he won't be. He has hideouts.
Name some of them.
I'm afraid to.
He can't hurt you. He's too busy playing cops and robbers.
You don't know Brown.
I gotta get to know him. Give.
I don't want to get mixed up in anything.
Neither do I, but I am. I need Brown.
Why don't you forget Brown?
I'd be bad manners.
What's wrong with bad manners? I know some that are fun.
Yeah, you would.
More fun than Brown will ever show you.
You'll keep. He won't.
Come here. Will this keep? Do you think?
You have a nice way of changing the subject. But still, where's Brown's hideout?
I won't tell you. He'll kill me.
Yeah, that's a gamble. I'm on the spot, and that's a fact. Talk to me.
Oh, I hate men.
Never mind your hobby. Give me Brown.
I hate you, you big, ugly, muscle-bound.
Brown.
You're hurting me.
Make me stop. Tell me where Brown is.
All right. There's a hideout, a little shack out near the beach.
Narrow it down.
Let go, I'm telling you. And I hope it's the last thing you hear.
From Skip's place out to the beach wasn't much of a drive. I went up and over Twin Peaks, watching the city and the bay spread out beneath the road like a giant map. The sun was working for the Chamber of Commerce that day, and the whole region was... Every backyard was full of clothes blowing in the wind. As the highway neared the beach, it began to turn up bunches of kids on their way to cash in on the weather. John Brown's hideaway was one of those old pioneer shacks built out near the ocean in the old days by guys who wanted to get away from it all. It was painted a weather-beaten brown, tilted a little on one side, and it looked like something that had been washed ashore in a bad storm a long while ago. I knocked on the door, but all that bought me was echoes, so I made a door out of one of the side windows. The inside of the place looked like something out of a hobo jungle. None of the furniture matched. The best piece inside would have made a junk man sneer. There was a broken-down setup for poker and a tired double bed, and after that you were practically on your own. The kitchen didn't turn up anything but a flock of ants and some empty bottles. I began to get the feeling Brown must have had 2 hideouts, or else he'd left town. It shows you how wrong you can be.
All right, hustler. Reach.
You walk soft.
Practice makes perfect. Turn around slowly.
Mm-hmm.
How come you're working without a gun?
Who are you?
This is my place, so you tell me.
My name's Novak. I'm looking for a guy named Brown.
Well, you're all right so far. I'm Brown. Who tipped you off I'd be here?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember. So let me guess. It was that punk Venanti.
Never heard of him.
Never mind the rube routine. You got hustler written all over you. What did Venanti send you here for? Does he think I know too much?
If I was sent to rub you, do you think I'd come without a gun, start using your head?
I like the way it's working. Tell me more.
I can't tell you anything. You don't fit my blueprints.
Don't get smart with me, hustler. Venanti sent you. Tell me what for.
If you're Brown, you don't need any new worries. You've got an armful already.
I'm feeling no pain.
The cops have your car down at the station.
What for?
They don't like them with dead bodies inside.
Steady now. Let's have that again.
A dame named Alice Stone was found stuffed in your trunk. You're hotter than 4 stoves. Laugh yourself out of that.
If you know so much, why aren't you yelling copper?
Don't worry. They're on their way. I'm trying to get the key to the killing.
If this turns out to be a frame...
Look, I saw the guy who did it. I'm the only one who did. That's better than your gun, so treat me nice.
If you saw the murder, you can help me out.
Sure. What do I get for it, a merit badge?
Yeah, things are coming too fast. I got to do some checking.
You better spill what you know, or else I'm liable to forget mine.
You got a nice lever there, hustler. If you can back up your talk. If the dame's dead.
Look who's bargaining.
Before I tell you anything, I need to check around.
Just wait a while. The cops will tell you everything.
I like to find out things for myself.
You will. I got a good grapevine in the county jail.
Now do it the hard way.
You forget I have the lever on you now.
Yeah. Remind me to get scared about that. Try some aspirins for that, eh?
I woke up twice before I decided to make it stay that way. The house was so quiet I could hear someone playing the piano several houses away. It was a nice, clean sound, neat and full of try. No wise guys in it figuring fancy double crosses. No dead bodies. No policemen who argued with their knuckles instead of their heads. Probably some girl who thought a blackjack was a card game. I lay there listening to the music for a while, and I got up and brushed off my clothes. And there were 3 places I could find Brown. He wouldn't dare go to his home, and he wouldn't return to the hideout. That left Skip's place. On the way over, I stopped at a drugstore and phoned Jocko to find out if he'd turned up anything. If you left out the hiccups, it went like this.
Hello, you reprobate renegade from all that's good and holy.
Skip the overture. Did you check on those people I asked you about?
Sure, I found out about them. Old Dr. Madigan and his crystal ball. He knows all and he knows all and like that there.
Tighten it up and tell me some.
That girl Alice Stone, you remember?
How can I forget?
She lived with a dame in the Potrero named Skip Harper. Nice people. The landlord served eviction notices every day except legal holidays.
So they liked a good time, then what?
Then she owns a half interest in a gambling joint around Lake Tahoe. It's not much of a place. They say the roulette wheels have so many magnets hung around them, the nails began to come out of the walls. Her partner runs the joint, and she shills the suckers in from down here.
How'd you make it the wheels crooked?
I have my informants. I have a network of good drinking folk who get around and hear things all the time. You'd be surprised how careless a guy can get with talk when he's got his elbow in a barroom ashtray. Now, as I was saying...
If the wheels are fixed, how come Brown was able to shake the joint down for $50,000?
I don't know how he did it. Maybe he was wired, too. All I know is that they've got better control of the ball than Bob Feller ever had on his best day. It's easy to believe if you know Skip's partner.
Yeah? Introduce me.
Name's Venanti.
What's that again?
The partner's name's Venanti. He's wanted in 8 states and Cuba.
Venanti. I'll remember the name. What'd you get on Brown?
John Brown? Oh, swell guy. Helped free the slaves. A friend of man. A tribute to the
I've
nation.
heard that song. Now let's talk about the local Brown.
A small-time hustler. Petty larceny stuff.
You didn't get any tie-ins with Venanti?
Oh, yeah. He was up at the gambling joint near Tahoe last night. Cleaned the place out. $50,000. That would buy a lot of schnapps.
It's beginning to fit together.
No doubt your mighty intellect has found the key.
I can count up to 10 if I don't wear mittens.
Sometimes 13, I'll bet. Well, who did what to who?
Brown's got a partner working for him.
You don't say.
I'm going over and shake it out of Brown. He must know where the guy's hiding.
Well, don't go looking into too many auto trunks. Those things bite. So long, lover.
What Jocko told me began to give me some hope. The thing the picture needed was one more man, and a partner for Brown would round it out nicely. Yeah, Brown must have figured someone to try to hijack his role and hired a friend to bring it down to San Francisco. I didn't explain the killing. I didn't explain a lot of things. But it was a lead to the guy who could explain it. I needed Brown. So I gunned the car over the hills toward Skip Harper's place. I began to feel better. I was thinking how Hellman would look when I dumped the killer in his lap. There was a crowd along the street in front of Skip's place. Just as I drew up, Hellman came out on the porch. As I got out of the car, one of the neighbors pointed to me.
Novak, huh? They gave me a description, but I didn't think it was you. The guy they described sounded human.
Your jokes stink, Hellman. Try imitating birds or juggling.
The bird imitations are for you, Novak. You'll be singing to the DA any minute now. Come on in the house.
It's Brown. Where's the dame?
What did you do, kill her, too?
Come off it, Hellman. You can't pin this on me.
I don't have to. The neighbors did it for me.
Why should I kill my alibi?
Because he wasn't. What did you do with the dame, Novak?
Why don't you try thinking for a change?
I do my poor best. For instance, I think you killed the dame in the car and then tried to saw it off on Brown. Then you caught Brown here this morning and killed him.
What for? Or don't you care?
For $50,000 Brown won at the Broken T up at Lake Tahoe.
The neighbors saw me come here. They must have seen Brown come here, too, after I'd left.
Nobody saw Brown come. Why didn't you buy a witness, Novak? You can afford it.
The dame's gone?
We haven't looked under the rugs.
How'd you get the dope on Brown winning all that dough?
Wayphone Tahoe, bright boy. You've heard about the telephone?
Vaguely. Who'd you talk to?
The police. And then a guy named Venanti. He says he remembers you following Brown out. And that the dame was with you, too.
It's a lie.
Sure. But the $50,000 is still missing.
Brown wasn't with me. He was a little guy.
It's the climate. He grew since you two dropped him here this morning.
I need some pictures.
Well, you drop Brown. The dame's going to drive you home. You proposition her on the way to help knock off Brown. She turns you down.
Not those kind of pictures. Are there any photographs around the house?
Yeah, there's some in the bedroom. Why?
Come on, let's look. The way she looked, she'd like cameras.
Here's one on the beach. What's she wearing?
That's a bathing suit. Here's the one. Towel.
Well, look at this nightclub gown. How do they hold those things up?
Thumbtacks. So that's Venanti. Look at the two of them posing in front of their sucker trap.
So what?
He's the guy who did it.
Sure, over the phone.
Did you phone him or he phone you?
He phoned.
You want him?
What for? I got you.
He's here in the city, hiding out at Brown's place at the beach. Here's the address.
What kind of a windy is this, Novak?
Pick him up, will you? He said he was at Tahoe, and he is in the city. It smashes his alibi.
All right, but if you're trying any fancy work...
Are you going after him, or do we waltz some more?
How to hold you?
I'll be around. You know that.
What are you going to do?
I got some cleaning up to do. There was only one place for Venanti to be. I headed the car out Potrero and down Bayshore Highway to the airport. I was betting everything on a hunch. Sometimes that's the way you have to play it. Sometimes hunches pay off. The plane I got was built for hurry. Skip still had her overnight bag in her hand when I walked in on them at the Broken T. Venanti began to act nervous when he saw me. Yeah, but not Skip. I began to wonder if she'd ever known how it felt to be frightened. You'd never guess it from the way she talked.
Hello, Novak. Don't you ever shave?
I had a close one just now.
Doesn't show.
You don't know where to look.
What do you want, Novak?
I got it.
Don't be cryptic, baby. It doesn't become you.
You don't act nervous. Does you care about jail?
Nobody's going to jail, Novak, except you, maybe.
I'd be nervous if I had to explain all those dead bodies back at Frisco.
We don't know anything about dead bodies. We've been up here for hours.
Yeah? I had a hunch that'd be your alibi.
That's no alibi, Novak. It's a fact.
It won't gel, Venanti. You're cooked.
Look, Novak, Brown deserved to die. He killed Alice, and before that he fixed the wires on the wheel so he could break this place. He robbed us of $50,000. We had a right to get it back.
Is that what Venanti told you?
That's the way it happened, Novak. There's $10,000 in it for you, if you can remember it that way, too.
$10,000. Easy there, Vin.
That was a little double talk, baby. He was trying to bribe me to dummy up on you.
Dummy up? I know what happened.
When you get through dreaming, try this for a bedtime story. Venanti hired Brown to pick up the winnings while he ran the table. Then, with Brown dead, Venanti was going to fly back here in his private plane for the same alibi he's using now. Only he'd own the Broken T.
You're lying.
Shut up, Vin. Tell me more, Novak.
The plan began to sour up when Alice tried to thumb a ride. Alice knew him, so he killed her. He still needed to kill Brown, but he figured then he could hang the double killings on me. That'd make it even better.
You're on the needle, Novak.
The only trouble was that Brown wasn't home. Vin had to chase him. When he finally found him, Brown was at your place. I don't know what happened there, except that Venanti must have killed Brown before he had a chance to talk.
How was that? I'd gone to the store.
So when you come back, Brown's dead, and Venanti tells you he did it to recover the money.
Yeah. So you were going to double-cross me, baby.
He's lying, I tell you.
See if you can prove it to a jury.
I should have known.
In case you get any fancy ideas about trying to lie out of it, I got a witness to feel the motor of your plane. It's still hot.
That $10,000 offer still stands.
I need you to clear me.
Yeah. And I could use the sole ownership of this joint.
You wouldn't rat on me.
Oh, watch me, baby. I'll let you rot in jail.
Novak, I'll make it $25,000 if you help me quiet this dame.
You would, Ben? Start out by quieting this.
lousy shots. They both lived. That is, Venanti lived until he got a bad case of asthma in the San Quentin gas chamber. Skip got off with a flock of scars and some good advice from the judge to stay away from questionable characters. But advice is free, and Skip was the kind who went after the dough, so I see her now and then. She's gone honest, I think. Sometimes we toss dice, and I've known her to lose.
On tonight's program were Ben Morris as Novak, John Galbraith as Inspector Hellman, Jack Lewis as Jocko, and Mary Milford as Skip, with Henry Leff, Jerry Walters, Kurt Martell, and Lucille Bliss. Special music by Otto Clare. Listen next week at this same time when over most of these stations, the American Broadcasting Company presents Pat Novak for Hire. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call from the receiving hospital in your city. A dead body has been left in the hospital elevator. There's no lead to the identity of the corpse. There's no apparent cause of death. Your job, investigate. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, November 9th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 11:28 p.m. when we got to the 3rd floor at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, Dr. Terrell's office.
Friday, glad to see you. Been waiting for you.
We made it as soon as we could, Doctor. I'd like to have you meet my new partner, Bill Lockwood. Dr. Terrell, Bill.
How are you? I think I've seen you around, Lockwood.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I understand you got a problem, Doc. What's the story?
Odd one. Happened a few minutes after 11. You want to sit down a minute? I'll fill you in before we go back and take a look at the body.
Thank you very much.
I understand it's a woman, that right?
Yeah. Grace Morgan. She's a night nurse on duty. She told me she was sitting at the desk checking over some patients' cards. It was about 5-10 minutes after 11 when she heard the elevator come up.
Mm-hmm.
She heard the elevator stop and the doors open. Kept on checking the cards there, didn't pay any attention to it, and then she realized nobody got out of the elevator. She looked up, and the elevator doors were still open. She saw this young woman slumped over in a wheelchair sitting there in the elevator.
The woman was alone, was she?
That's right. The nurse went over and wheeled her out of the elevator. The woman was wearing a nightgown, a bathrobe over that. She was unconscious. Nurse called me. The two of us took the woman into a treatment room. I examined her. She was dead.
Any indication how long?
Body was still warm. She'd only been dead a short time.
Any idea of the cause of death?
I noticed a couple of abrasions on her right shoulder, another one in the right temporal region. Not positive, but I don't think any of them were severe enough to cause death.
No other markings at all?
No, she seemed to have been in good physical condition. Noticed a strong smell of alcohol, though. Could be she'd been drinking.
Is the nurse pretty sure the woman came up the elevator alone? Possibility one of the attendants might have brought her up?
No, I checked with the attendant on duty down in the first floor lobby, Ray Collins. He didn't bring her up. He said a man came in the lobby about 11 o'clock. Said he had a sick woman out in his car. He asked for a wheelchair to bring her in. Ray asked if he could help, but the man said he'd take care of it. That's all Ray knows about it. He let the man have a wheelchair, then he went in the back room to change some linens on the ambulance stretcher.
Any possibility one of the other attendants might have brought her up in the elevator?
No, Collins was the only attendant on duty.
I'd like to talk to him. Is he still around?
Yeah, I knew you'd want to see him. He was off duty 11:30. I held him over. He's down at the corner having a sandwich. He ought to be back in a few minutes.
And what do you figure, Doctor? Think the woman could have operated the elevator herself?
Possible. Not too probable, though. It's a self-operating elevator, automatic. Someone could have wheeled the woman into the elevator, pushed the button for the third floor, and then stepped back. Would have taken her straight up.
Yeah. The nurse is sure the elevator didn't go back down after it got up here, huh?
Positive. She heard the elevator doors open. They stayed that way. She kept waiting for someone to come out, and that's what attracted her attention.
I see. How about identification? The woman have a purse with her or anything like that, Doc?
No, all she had was what she was wearing, nightgown, slippers, and bathrobe. Let's go back and have a look. I'll show you.
Okay, thank you.
You say the only markings on the body are those abrasions on the shoulder and the forehead.
Yeah, that's right.
And you don't think that's why she's dead? You got any ideas at all?
Well, I wouldn't want to say, Lockwood. Strange one. Going to have to wait for the autopsy.
Well, how about the wheelchair the woman came up in, Doc? Where's it now?
Back here in the same room with the body. I gave notice it wasn't to be touched. I knew you'd want to check.
Oh, fine.
In here.
All right to smoke in here?
Yeah, sure.
Fine. Want a cigarette?
No, thanks.
Bill?
No.
Over here on the table. Nurse put the woman's clothing over there. Nightgown, slippers, bathrobe.
I see.
Seems to be a fairly young woman.
I'd say in her early 30s. Nice-looking girl. Well-groomed. Notice her hair and fingernails. Well-kept.
A bruise there on her head. Took a pretty good blow to cause that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Might even be worse than it looks. Hard to say right now. Other abrasions I was telling you about, right here along the clavicle, seem to be fairly distinct. 3 or 4 of them.
That's all of them, huh?
That's it. Like I say, we'll know more after they post the body. Take a look at the clothing over here.
Want to check over the bathrobe, Bill?
Yeah.
There's no label here. Size marking, though. Size 34. Just an ordinary rayon nightgown. Seems to be fairly new. It's not damaged.
Nothing on the bathrobe, Joe. Both pockets empty. No visible markings. Manufacturer's label here. Fairly common trade name.
Laundry marks?
No, none showing. We can have the crime lab check them over. How about the slippers?
No, it's the same. Nothing.
You fellas want me to notify the coroner?
No, we'll get it, Doc. We have to call in for the crime lab crew anyway.
It looks like a rough one. We don't even know what we've got.
I can't figure it. If somebody murdered the woman, why'd they bring her here to die?
Yeah.
If she was sick or hurt and they were worried enough about it to bring her here, why'd they want to get rid of her? Leave her alone in an elevator.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Somebody's got something to hide.
Sure could use a lead. Man puts her on the elevator and sends her up 3 floors. Don't know who she is, how she died. Don't even know where she came from.
Well, there's no choice. We'll just start at the beginning.
Yeah?
Ground floor. 11:52 p.m. The receiving hospital attendant, Ray Collins, returned, and we interviewed him in Dr. Terrell's office. He told us substantially the same thing the doctor had told us. At a few minutes past 11 o'clock that night, a man entered the lobby of the hospital and asked for a wheelchair to move a patient up to the 3rd floor. Collins stated he gave the man the wheelchair. The man refused his offer of assistance, and Collins went on about his work. He didn't see the patient, and he didn't see any car parked outside, and he was able to give us only a partial description of the man himself. A male Caucasian, about 35 years old, short, heavy-build, dark hair. The crew from the crime lab arrived and began their investigation. The body was photographed and fingerprinted, and the wheelchair was also dusted for prints. The clothing was packed up to be taken downtown for further examination. After the men from the crime lab left, Bill Lockwood began a canvass of the immediate neighborhood for possible witnesses. Meantime, I checked with the rest of the hospital personnel and the patients. They could tell me nothing. 12:30 a.m., I met Bill back at Dr. Terrell's office.
How'd you do, Joe? Any luck?
When I talked to the nurses and some of the other attendants, they couldn't help any. Checked with the dispatcher on incoming and outgoing ambulances. Nothing there. What about you?
No good. Most of the business places around here are locked up. Talked to the newsboy down at the corner. He was about the only one on the street. He didn't see anything.
Sure going slow, isn't it? Might give Bergman a call, see if he's got the woman's prints classified yet.
How about the coroner? Show up yet?
Yeah, I think he's in there now. Yes, ma'am. Give me station 2557. Yeah, that's right. Leighton Prince. Hi, let me talk to Bergman, please. Right. Yeah, Dean, Joe Friday. No, we're still over at the hospital. You do any good on those prints? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what we figured. How about her prints? Mm-hmm. Okay, Dean, thanks. Yeah, right. Well, we're still batting 1,000.
What do you say? They make her prints?
Nothing in records on her. Dean's going to send along a set to Washington, see if they got anything.
How about the wheelchair? Any prints there?
Well, the nurses and Doc Terrell's, that's all. We figured on that, didn't we?
Lousy luck.
Sure is. I checked with missing persons while you were out. There's nothing there either.
Well, that about finishes up here, huh?
Yeah, we better get back to the office.
Joe?
Yeah, Doc.
I think I got something for you here.
Yeah?
Nurse at the switchboard got a call a minute ago. Man's voice wanted to know the condition of Carla Cheswick.
Mm-hmm.
Nurse checked the list of patients, didn't find anyone by that name. The man insisted she's here. The nurse asked him what time the woman was admitted to the hospital. He told her 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
The man said, I know she's there. I brought her myself.
Along with Dr. Terrell, Bill Lockwood and I went down the hall and talked to the nurse who'd received the phone call. She told us that she tried to question the caller as to his name and his relationship to the alleged patient, Carla Cheswick, but the man refused and hung up. We put in a call to R&I and asked him to run the name for us. There was no one by that name in the files. We went back to the doctor's office and started checking through the telephone directories. In the northwestern section, we found a listing for a Mrs. Carla Z. Cheswick on North Capitol Avenue. We called the number, but there was no answer. Then we checked with the office, told them what we had, and that we were going to follow through on it. 1:18 a.m. It was only a possibility, but it had to be checked out. Bill Lockwood and I left Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, got in the car, and drove out to the address on North Capitol Avenue. It was a large apartment house, fairly new. The name on the mailbox for apartment 18 was Mrs. Carla Cheswick. We rang, but there was no answer. We finally had to get the manager out of bed, a Mrs. Herbert. We identified ourselves and explained the reason for our visit. She got a pass key, showed us upstairs to the second floor, and let us in apartment 18. There was no one there, but there was evidence of a recent party within a matter of hours. Half-filled cocktail glasses, an empty whiskey bottle, a glass bowl containing partially melted ice cubes. An end table in the corner had been overturned. In the bedroom, women's clothing was scattered on the floor and on the dressing table. On the mantel in the living room, there was a picture of a woman.
Did you notice anything unusual about her at that time, Miss Herbert? I mean, anything out of the ordinary?
No, don't think so. She'd been drinking some. I'm pretty sure of that. But that's not unusual for Mrs. Cheswick. She drinks quite a bit. Parties and things. Runs around a lot.
Yes, ma'am. You didn't notice anything about her face? No cuts, bruises, anything like that?
No, nothing like that. Why?
And you told us she had quite a few men friends. Do you know any of their names, where they live?
No, can't say to do. She was just one of the tenants. I didn't try to get acquainted. Didn't have much in common with her. The other tenants didn't either, matter of fact. She kept pretty much to herself, her and her friends.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, about this party she had last night, Miss Herbert, you say you don't know who was there with her?
No, I'm afraid I don't. When I called her on the phone to ask her to quiet things down, I heard that one man's voice talking. That's about all, though. I couldn't tell you who was there.
Well, is there anyone at all that you know of that was close to her? I mean, someone we could talk to about her.
Well, her husband, I suppose. He's the only one close to her I know. He comes around every month and takes care of the rent. Kind of a peculiar thing, but I never questioned it. I figured it's their business, live and let live.
You have any idea where we can find the husband, ma'am?
No, I'm not sure. He works at a machine shop out near Glendale. I have his home address in my rent book downstairs if you want it.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to have that if we could. Would you happen to know how Mrs. Cheswick and her husband got along? I mean, the separation of theirs. Was it friendly, or did they still quarrel quite a bit?
No, as far as I know, they got along all right, as long as they didn't have to live together. Poor Mr. Cheswick, I feel sorry for him. He's going to take it hard. His wife, I don't know whether to blame or pity her. She was a terrible disappointment to him.
That's so?
I had a long talk with him once. Seemed like such a nice man, hard worker. And his wife, he was so disgusted. I mean, drinking all the time, going out with different men. Bitter disappointment. He told me how he felt.
Well, did he seem violent on the subject? I mean, did he feel anger toward his wife? Would you
know? No, just pity. He said he'd rather have her dead than go on the way she was.
We checked through the dead woman's apartment for names and addresses of some of her men friends, but we found nothing. The crew from the crime lab went over the apartment thoroughly. The only evidence found were fingerprints on some of the cocktail glasses. Along with the apartment manager, Mrs. Herbert, we went downstairs, and she gave us Mr. Cheswick's home address and also his place of employment. 2:30 a.m. We got to a phone and called Cheswick's home, but the people he was staying with told us that he wasn't there. He was working the all-night shift at a farm implement factory on Glendale Boulevard. 3:05 a.m. Bill and I drove out to the factory and checked with the night personnel superintendent. He directed us to the factory repair shop where Cheswick was employed as a welder. The foreman at the repair shop pointed him out for us. Cheswick was working on the welding line, a tall, thin man, slight build. Bill Lockwood and I went back and introduced ourselves.
Yes, sir. Ernie Cheswick. That's my name. What can I do for you?
I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes if we could. It's about your wife, sir.
Carla? What's the matter? Is she in trouble again?
Well, it might be better if we could step outside and talk. It won't take very long.
All right, I got to finish up this little job here, if you don't mind waiting. A couple of pieces of tubing. It won't take a minute.
Sure, you go right ahead.
You might stand back a couple of steps. This thing pops a little.
Okay, thanks.
Too much oxygen. I have to light it again. Yeah, that does it.
Don't look at the flames, Joe. Bad for your eyes.
Yeah, I know.
They're sure in their money, don't they?
Yeah, they seem to. A lot of work.
Finish the second here. Okay, that's got it. Now, what's this about my wife, Sergeant? What's the matter?
We understand you're separated from her, Mr. Cheswick.
Yeah, that's right. About a year ago now. I finally gave it up as a bad job. Wasn't anything I could do for her. Nothing anybody could do for her. Hopeless.
Well, when's the last time you saw her?
First of the month. Went by to pay her rent. Dropped in to say hello, that's all. I stay away as much as I can. No good bum, that's about all you can say about her. Shame to admit I was even married to her. Why do you ask, anyway?
Your wife's dead, Mr. Cheswick.
Huh?
Yes, sir. She died late last night. Found her at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital.
Oh. Guess I've been expecting something like that. I can't feel sorry. It's probably the best thing for her. How'd it happen?
Well, we're not sure. I wonder if we could step outside. Sure be a lot easier to talk, wouldn't it?
Yeah, all right.
Fine.
Over here, we can duck out the back way.
Okay.
You say they found her at Georgia Street, huh? What was it? She in an accident?
Also, it doesn't look like that. We're going to have to wait for the coroner's report. What time do you check in at night for work, Mr. Cheswick?
You're supposed to be on the job by 10 o'clock. I punched in before that tonight. Why?
A routine question. I suppose the men around the plant will vouch for you. You checked in at 10 and you've been here ever since?
Yeah, that's right. You can ask any of them. What's the pitch? You think I had something to do with it? Carla getting killed?
Well, we didn't say that, Cheswick. Your wife's dead, and we have to check on all the leads, all the possible suspects.
Well, I don't know how it happened, but I didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't one. I lived 9 years with her. Lousiest 9 years of my life. Booze, parties, going out all the time. She wasn't a wife. She didn't know what the word meant.
I understand she's been running around with different men lately. Do you happen to know any of them?
No, I don't know. I couldn't care less. Stupid dame, Sergeant. That's the easiest way you can let her off. I tried to make a go of it. Wasn't any good. I worked for her, tried to give her everything she wanted. Didn't make any difference.
Yeah?
She's a bum. Some of them must be born that way, a bum dame. I could have killed her. I had reason enough to. I didn't.
How about your wife's drinking habits? She do most of it at home, or did she go out to bars?
Always at the bar. Only one place she ever went to. Place on 8th and Rosewood, right on the corner. Went there all the time, 6-7 nights a week. She'd hang over the bar all night. I just like to put up with that for 9 years, huh? Drinking, going off somewhere on weekend.
Well, how come it lasted that long, Cheswick?
I don't know. I guess I should have had my head examined. Just a bum. I figured I could change her. Kept trying. Never worked out. After the drinking, she'd have these terrific headaches that'd make her sick. I'd stay home from work and take care of her, wait on her hand and foot. She'd always make promises, nothing but a liar. As soon as she got well, she'd start it all over again, same thing.
Yeah.
Just a bum, a tramp. No good at all, no good. Just a tramp, no good tramp.
Cheswick? Mr. Cheswick, is there anything we can do?
Carla. She's dead. Carla.
When the dead woman's husband, Ernest Cheswick, recovered, we continued questioning him, but we got nowhere. Before we left the plant, we checked his time card, talked to the machine shop foreman and some of the men Cheswick worked with. We got the same story all along the line. Cheswick had showed up for work at 9:46 p.m. the night before and had not left the plant since that time. 4:35 a.m. Bill and I got in a car, drove back to the office, and typed up a 15.7 report for Captain Lorman. 8:30 a.m. Over in the county morgue, the body of Mrs. Cheswick was being posted. A few minutes past 10 a.m., Bill Lockwood and I drove out to a bar on the corner of 8th and Rosewood, the same bar where Ernest Cheswick told us his wife did most of her drinking. It was a typical neighborhood cocktail lounge in the early morning. 2 customers sipping beer at the far end of the bar. The manager busy washing glasses and bringing in supplies. We called him over and identified ourselves.
Popular girl. Married old Ernie Cheswick. They're separated now.
Yeah, well, do you know if she was in here last night?
That's right, she was. Hardly Mrs. Knight. Why?
Would you happen to know about what time she left last night?
8:30, about that. You might ask that fellow there down behind the bar. He'd know better than me.
Well, how's that?
He left with her.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
November 10th, Thursday, 10:14 a.m. The manager of the cocktail lounge pointed out the man at the end of the bar who was supposed to have left the place shortly after 8 o'clock the night before with the dead woman, Carla Cheswick. Bill Lockwood and I went up to the man, identified ourselves, and questioned him briefly. He appeared tense and highly nervous. He told us his name was John Gables, an assistant sales manager for a downtown jewelry concern. He didn't deny that he was in the bar the night before, but he refused to admit that he left with Mrs. Cheswick. He insisted he didn't even know her. We asked him to account for how he spent his time the night before, but he refused. We got in the car and drove downtown to the city hall. While Bill took the suspect to the interrogation room, I stopped by the R&I counter and had to make a run on Gables. He had no previous criminal record. I called the morgue, but there was no report on the autopsy yet. 10:52 a.m. I signed in at the office, briefed Captain Lorman on the developments, and then I headed down the hall for the interrogation room.
We had a couple of drinks together, and that's all there was to it. You can ask anybody who was there. She got up and left by herself. I didn't go with her.
And Joe?
Yeah.
Gables here was just telling me he did see Mrs. Cheswick in the bar last night. Had a couple of drinks with her.
Why'd you hold out, Gables? Why couldn't you told us that when we asked you?
I didn't remember then. You came up to me in the bar, started asking questions. I got all rattled. Didn't make any difference, though. I didn't even know her name. Just had those couple of drinks with her, and then she got up and left. That's all. I didn't go out with her.
The bartender says you did. He's sure of it. Says he can get half a dozen other people to back him up.
He's wrong. He's got to be. He's thinking of somebody else.
Well, if you didn't leave the bar with Ms. Cheswick, when did you leave?
I don't know. About 5 or 10 minutes later, I guess.
Where'd you go then?
Well, I walked around a little bit, got a little fresh air. And I went to a show.
Which one?
I don't remember the name of the place. It's on Rosewood, a couple of blocks down from the bar.
What picture did you see?
I'm not sure. I had a couple of drinks.
You went to the movies? You don't even know what you saw?
Well, I told you I had a couple of drinks. I was feeling pretty good. I just don't remember, that's all.
Not much of an alibi, Gables.
What are you talking about? I don't need an alibi.
A woman's dead, mister. You were with her the last time she was seen alive.
I wasn't with her. I don't care what anybody tells you. I wasn't with her.
This movie you say you went to. What time did you get out?
After midnight, I think. I don't remember.
Where'd you go after that?
Bar, had a few more drinks, and then I went back to my hotel.
Which bar was that?
Place on West 7th. I go there sometimes. I know the bartender.
What time did you leave there?
Closing time, 2 o'clock, and then I went back to my hotel.
You say you know the bartender there. I guess he'd be glad to vouch for you. I mean that you were there when you said you were.
I don't know. Maybe not. He was pretty busy last night. Maybe he didn't notice me.
How about your hotel?
Huh?
The desk clerk. Somebody like that. They should be able to tell what time you got in, don't you think?
Well, they wouldn't know. I always carry my key with me. I go in the side door. They wouldn't know what time I got in.
What are you trying to sell, mister?
What are you talking about?
You knocked around town from 8 o'clock last night till past 2 o'clock this morning. You can't think of anyone that could vouch for you, where you were, what time you got there, what time you left?
I can't think of anybody right now. I don't take down names and addresses every time somebody looks at me. What's the difference anyway? I didn't have anything to do with the girl.
This difference, Gables. The attendant at the hospital, he got a good look at the man who came in and asked for that wheelchair. He gave us the man's description. It fits you pretty close.
So what? It doesn't mean anything. He could make a mistake, too, just like that bartender.
They're all wrong but you. Is that what you're trying to say?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, I only got one thing to say. I had a couple of drinks with with Carla last night, and that's all. She left by herself. I didn't even go near the apartment.
How'd you know she had an apartment?
Well, you told me. You said so.
No, we didn't say anything like that.
And I guess I heard it around the bar. Maybe she mentioned to me. Yeah, that's probably it.
Why don't you come off it, Gables?
Come off what? I don't even know what you're getting at.
We want a straight story, and we're not getting it. You told us you didn't even know the Cheswick woman before last night. You didn't even know her name.
That's right.
Then why'd you say Carla just a minute ago? You said I had a couple of drinks with Carla.
I say that?
That's what you said.
Maybe I just hadn't remembered. I was drinking quite a bit, talking to her. Maybe I just remembered it.
Won't do, Gables. Story doesn't hold water. How about it?
I don't know. I was drinking quite a bit. A lot of things I don't remember.
How about giving it to us straight? What do you remember?
I thought about it all night. The more I went over it, the worse it got. I just couldn't remember. I knew what it would sound like in court. I couldn't tell it that way.
You couldn't tell what?
I didn't kill her. I didn't even touch her. You gotta believe that.
Yeah.
I left the bar with her about 8:15, 8:30. She invited me up to her apartment. She was pretty well gone. Had quite a few drinks.
Mm-hmm.
We got there, had some more to drink, and then Carla got up and started for the kitchen to get some more ice. She tripped, I think, stumbled a little bit, and then she fell down. I think that's the way it was.
All right, go on.
She tried to get up, and then she fell again. Wasn't a bad fall, though. I figured she just passed out. Got some cold towels, ice water. I tried to bring her around. It wasn't any good. She was white as a sheet. I got scared. I didn't know what happened.
What'd you do then?
I don't remember. I just kept trying to bring her around. I don't remember any of it very well. I don't even know why she fell down.
You think you could have hit her, Gables? You think maybe that's why she fell down?
No. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I was mad at her for anything. I think we were having a pretty good time. I just don't remember, that's all. I'm not sure about any of it. Lousy booze, no good at all.
Did you kill her, Gables?
No, Sergeant, I swear it. As far as I can remember, I didn't. We were having a good time. That's all I know. I know I wasn't mad. I'm not a nasty drunk, not as far as I can remember anyway.
What'd you do when you couldn't revive Mrs. Cheswick? You brought her to the hospital?
Yeah, the shape I was in, I couldn't figure anything else to do. I got her in the car, drove her down to Georgia Street. I put her in the elevator, pressed the button, and sent her up. I'm a married man, you know. I didn't want any scandal and didn't want to get involved.
You didn't kill her. Is that what you want us to believe?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't remember. If I killed her, I think I'd know it. I'm sure I would. I just don't remember.
I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Interrogation room, Friday talking. Yeah, Arthur. That's so. Just a second. All right, I got a pencil now. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. You sure? How was that? I see. No possibility, huh? Yeah, I see. Okay, Arthur, thanks a lot. Yeah, sure, we'll pick it up later. Right, bye.
Yeah, Jim?
Coroner's report just finished the autopsy. It's all right, Gables.
Huh?
It's all right, it's all cleared up.
What do you mean?
Well, you're free to go if you like. We're not going to hold you.
What's the pitch, Joe?
Coroner's report. Primary cause of death was a massive cerebral hemorrhage into the ventricle.
Could have been a blow on the head, couldn't it? You figure that could have done it?
No. Secondary cause was a brain tumor, a big one. Coroner says she's had it for years. Must have caused her a lot of pain. Probably would have accounted for the drinking.
And the tumor wrote on the hemorrhage. That's what's killed her.
That's it. Coroner says erosion of the blood vessel by brain tumor. Probably grew, caused pressure on a blood vessel, finally gave way, caused a hemorrhage, and that killed her.
And she just died. I didn't have anything to do with it. She died and I didn't kill her.
Yes, sir, that's right. You're free to go if you want.
Thank God. You know, officers, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't know the answer. I didn't know if I killed her or not. I really didn't. Drinking so much, came to, and there she was dead. I didn't know what happened. I really didn't. I didn't know the answer.
Well, you're one up on us, Gables.
Huh?
We thought we did.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On Thursday, November 10th, the meeting was held in the office of Captain of Homicide. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, there's not much I can add to what George Fenneman and Hal Gibney have already told you about Fatimas. If you smoke them, I know you'll agree with me that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. If you haven't tried them yet, well, there's only one way to prove it to yourself, and that's to buy a pack and give them a try. I wish you would kind of check up on what we've been telling you. Compare Fatimas with any other king-size cigarette. You'll like Fatima's better flavor and aroma, its extra mild and soothing smoke. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy a pack tomorrow. Fatima.
With the filing of the official autopsy report by the county coroner, John Gables was cleared of all charges. He was released from custody immediately. The death of Mrs. Carla Cheswick was listed as due to natural causes by the coroner's jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, last year's traffic death toll was 37,500, a 7% increase over 1950. The National Safety Council believes that the best way to promote safety on the road is for each of us to know and obey traffic laws, to read and heed traffic signs. So be careful. The life you save may be your own.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Police, WADUH, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advice by Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Fanny Spray. Heard tonight, Line Milton, Earl Nerve, Victor, and Brennan Delana. Script by Chiser. Music by Victor Shoe, Half Guild speaking.
For 6 both sides, cigarettes, as Dragnet transcribed from Los Angeles.
Let's first spy on me.
This is Ronald Coleman, inviting you to radio's most dramatic half hour, Favorite Story. All mankind loves a good story. I guess the business of storytelling began when the first ancient hunter told his fellow cave dwellers of his hunting and fishing exploits. No doubt exaggerating a little, as some of us are inclined to do. And this very day, in the cities of the Near East, you may see the storytellers in the bazaars and in the marketplaces, spinning wondrous tales inherited from centuries past. Still the audiences gather and are held spellbound. The age-old tales have a fascination for all of us. Yet it's the new story we search for, the fresh angle, the unexpected. And, of course, that's particularly true here in Hollywood. That's my favorite story welcomes the choice of producer-director Michael Curtiz, who brought to the screen such favorites as Life with Father, Mildred Pierce, and Casablanca, for which he won the coveted Academy Award. And his choice, written by Arthur Wister Mays, has the happy quality of surprise. It revolves around a single copper penny. One of radio's best-known young actors, Jack Webb, will tell us the story. We're ready then for Act One of The Copper Penny.
Look, get this straight right away. I'm not the kind of a guy you'd invite over for dinner to meet your eligible daughter. I'm a broken-down newspaper man who couldn't hold a job in any city bigger than a cow pasture. So, I'm back where I began, Wilmot, Ohio. Believe me, brother, you need better than 20/20 vision to find this burg on a map. Wilmot, Ohio. Just a minute. Hold it, will you? Let's cut out the hearts and flowers, huh? If that's supposed to be a musical description of this town, you've got the wrong place, mister. Tell me, where do people get the idea that just because a town is small, that means that nothing goes on but prayer meetings and nature being lovely? We've got almost as much corruption as a big city. Well, you got the idea. I'm the cold potato you couldn't squeeze a tear out of. I knock out copy for a punk little newspaper in my hometown, and nothing affects me. Nothing. Excuse me a minute, will you? Yeah, this is the newspaper. This is Jack Hudson. If you got any news fancier than a long social, I got a pencil and an open mind, so what's your story? Oh. You're kidding. Oh, that's awful. That's terrible. I guess that's the worst news you could give me in this town. What? Sure, we'll write it up. I don't know how exactly, but I'll get out the story. sheet of paper and a typewriter. And what do you say? You can't say it. Shakespeare and Ernest Hemingway rolled together couldn't say it. How's a man going to write something about this and put it next to the ad for the meat market? All you can do is remember about Ben and a penny in the courtroom. And suddenly your memory begins to do nip-ups. And you remember when you were a kid and you walked over to the library and met Ben for the first time.
Hello, son.
Is this what they call the library?
That's what they call it.
What do you sell here?
Sell? Why, we don't sell anything.
Yeah? Then what's the deal?
Why don't you walk around and just see what strikes your fancy?
I'm not sure I want to.
Door opens both ways. You can come in or out anytime you want.
The guys that hang around the railroad yard say anybody comes in here is a sissy. I wouldn't want any of them to see me in here.
That's so. Well, maybe they've got a point. I guess a library's not a place for a man who uses a fist all the time. Railroad yard's a good place to exercise your muscles. In here, lad, we exercise our souls.
You're sort of crazy.
Yeah, I've heard that said before, too. Now, come here a second, boy. Let me introduce you to a few other maniacs. On this shelf, we have a young fellow who was plumb off his mind. Name of Shakespeare. One of these fine days, you ought to meet him face to face. Right now, I think you ought to meet another crazy fool. You're, about 12, I'd say. Right?
12 and a half, going on 13.
Mm-hmm. Young fella, shake hands with Mark Twain. Whole bookshelf here, designed for 12 and a half year olds. Going on 13.
Yeah, Ben Carter. The one man in this whole town with anything in his heart but a dollar sign. Ben Carter, the town librarian. He belonged in the library, I guess. Just as much as the World Almanac did, or Robinson Crusoe. Ben had a way of leading you to something when you were ripe for it. You looked at Ben and you remembered how he kind of steered you. So you didn't know you were steered at all. To the Knights of the Round Table. To Ivanhoe and David Copperfield. And suddenly, life stopped being narrow and small towns. Suddenly, your mind expanded beyond the railroad yards. And you were Huck Finn, floating down the Mississippi River. You were going out to fight in shining armor for the lovely Rebecca. You were the king of the Golden River, and Marco Polo at the court of Kubla Khan. That's why I always wanted to be a writer, but I never was. Just a newspaper hack who couldn't hold on to a job in Cleveland or Columbus or St. Louis or Detroit or any place. And so I came back where I started from, back to Wilmot, with my tail between my legs. And I went to see the only person in town I gave two hoots about, Ben.
Jack, how are you, boy? I'm very glad to see you again.
Why, Ben? Why are you glad to see me?
Because you're one of my boys. Tell me, have you written a book yet? A great war novel?
No, Ben, no. I haven't written anything. Just traffic accident reports and obituaries, and I didn't like them good enough to hang onto a job. I've been canned all over the map. I'm a big nothing.
Oh, not with what you've got inside your head. Jack, you need me help. Can I do anything?
Thanks, Ben. Thanks a lot. I got my old job back on the local paper.
Oh, that's fine. It'll be good having you back in town.
Even though I'm a big flop?
Oh, no flop. You don't have to go running 1,000 miles away to amount to anything. Why, look at me. I'm a long way from being the Librarian of Congress or anything else worth a second look, but along comes today. And you know what today is?
What, Ben?
40 years that I've been here as librarian. And they're going to celebrate. The town's giving me a banquet tonight with all the trimmings. The mayor, the head of the Chamber of Commerce. Why, look at me, son, and stop moaning. All my life I've been a big nobody, too. But tonight, I'm the toast of the town. I'm glad you're here. You've got to come to that banquet.
stood in the back of the big old drafty city hall to give a listen to what went on, to watch the whole town pay honor to Ben. Arthur Henderson, the head of the Chamber of Commerce, got up and banged on the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here tonight to pay honor to a fine citizen, our librarian, Ben Carter.
Arthur Henderson, of all people. Henderson hadn't read a book all the way through in his life.
My friends, citizens of Wilmont, we're here tonight to commend and honor Ben Carter for his trustworthiness, his honesty.
This guy kidding.
And so I give you your friend and mine, Ben Carter. Ben, as president of the Chamber of Commerce, I am proud to present you with this plaque. To Ben Carter for 40 years of honesty. Well, don't just stand there, Ben. Say something.
All I can say is...
Ben, don't run out like that. We want to hear a speech from you. Where are you going, Ben? Don't let him go, folks. I guess we should have expected this. The old fellow's just overcome by emotion.
Oh, that overcome by emotion, my left elbow. What's the matter with you people? Don't you have any sense? Why don't you give him a plaque for brushing his teeth or combing his hair? To Ben Carter, in grateful appreciation for combing his hair every day.
I don't understand.
No, you wouldn't. This town doesn't deserve a man like Ben Carter.
Ben, are you okay?
Sure, Jack. Did you see this plaque?
Yeah.
It was nice of them to give it to me, wasn't it? Look at what it says. It says, to Ben, I guess I was wrong this afternoon, boy. Meet another big nothing. Now, please go away. Please.
40 years of lighting candles in people's minds, and all they could honor him for was his honesty. I guess Ben didn't sleep much that night, and the next morning he walked around the library half in a daze. And then he heard the door open and went back to the desk.
Morning, Mr. Carter.
Oh, hello, Mr. Elwood. How's your daughter?
Oh, much better, Mr. Carter. She enjoys Little Women. I finished reading it to her this morning. Made her cry. Oh, there.
What's wrong?
This book was due yesterday, the 27th. This is the 28th. I guess I will find.
But that's just a penny, Mr. Elwood.
Here you are.
Thank you, Mr. Elwood. Come again. Glad your daughter's better.
Alone again, in the emptiness of the library. He glanced down at that penny in his hand, and the whole feeling came back, filling up his throat. Henderson, and that plaque, and that stupid speech. His fingers closed on the penny. He put the rubber stamp back to the day before and stamped the book. Returned the 27th. And then he glanced down at the coin again.
So I'm honest. Why I'm as much of a criminal as the Billy the Kid or the James boys.
And then slipped the penny into his pocket. You wouldn't think a single penny could raise a ruckus, would you? But it did. It turned this whole blasted town inside out. A penny. A single copper penny.
We're ready for Act 2 of the favorite story of the well-known director-producer, Mr. Michael Curtiz. An ancient Latin who lived way back in the year 200 A.D. had something to say about a storm in a saucepan, which through the years developed into the popular expression we use nowadays for any minor incident that creates a turmoil, a tempest in a teapot. In the little well-remembered library, a man with a soul has stolen a single penny. And we hardly need a barometer to know that in the little teapot town of Wilmont, a tempest is brewing. Here's Act 2 of The Copper Penny. A penny. A Lincoln head. E pluribus unum, it said. 1 cent. United States of America, vintage 1920. Nothing fancy about it. 1 penny. Good for weighing yourself, or buying a stick of gum, or for keeping a book called Little Women 1 day extra. And not much else, unless, of course, you have a barrel full of them. Wilmont's a small town, and nothing much happens there. But that afternoon, they had their first big story since the courthouse burnt down in 1902.
All right, everybody, quiet down. No reason to get excited. What's the story, Sheriff? There's been a murder, that's all. Highgate's dead.
I knew it.
All right, clear out of here, everybody.
When did it happen, Sheriff?
Coroner says about 2 hours ago.
Sheriff, if Highgate's been killed, I know who did it.
You do? Who did it?
Well, I live right next door to Tim Elwood. I don't like him. Spends all his time with his nose in a book.
What about him?
Well, old man Highgate came by last night to collect the rent. I guess Elwood didn't have the money, and there was a big argument. Elwood told Highgate to shut up, that his daughter was sick. Highgate kept on screaming. Then I heard Elwood say, "You get away or I'll kill you."
Well, thanks a lot. I needed a piece of information like that. All right, Albert, don't play dead.
Why would I kill him?
Plenty of reasons. You're broke, out of a job.
I told you before, Sheriff. I wasn't near Highgate's place this morning.
Then where were you between 10 and 11?
How many times do I have to tell you? I was home reading to my kid. She's sick. I read her the last couple of chapters of Little Women.
Great. You don't expect us to believe that, do you?
Why not?
Okay, so you were reading. Did you go out at all this morning?
Yes, about 20 after 11, I walked over to the library and returned the book.
That'll be easy enough to check on. What was the name of that book again?
Little Women by Louisa May Alcott.
I think I'll go visit the library, Elwood. Just like you did, eh? Open up, Carter.
The library's closed, but I'll be happy. Why, Sheriff, first time I ever saw you around the library, I didn't know you were reading.
I'm not. Now cut out the small talk and show me where you keep a book called Little Women.
What do you want to see that for?
Never mind, just show it to me. Where do you keep it?
Right here, under A. Alcott. There we are.
That's your only copy of this here book?
Yes.
All right, now, Carter, show me where you mark down when the book is returned.
Well, right here. But, Sheriff, there's something I want to...
Keep quiet, will you? Right here, huh? Well, just what I thought. A man's lying. This book was returned on the 27th, yesterday. What kind of idiot does this man take us for?
Oh, Sheriff, no.
That's all, Carter. Thanks for your trouble. If you don't mind, I'm going to take this book. We got a murderer on our hands, and we know how to tend to him.
Well, Ben just stood there, with the inside of his head like a merry-go-round. I guess this was the first time Louisa May Alcott got mixed up in a murder. He looked all around him, and for one time in his life, nothing on the bookshelf seemed to be of any help. Not Emerson, not Whitman, certainly not Edna St. Vincent Millay. Ben suffered a lot, suffered in silence in the weeks that followed, not knowing what to do. Everybody in town was there in that courtroom to watch the circus. I remember seeing Ben slip in quietly, not saying a word to anybody. He'd put on his best black tie, knit muffler. I knew he felt inside him that he was on trial. He hardly seemed to be breathing there on the back bench. I tried to catch his eye, but he just stared forward. And then the judge came in.
The Randolph County Court is now in session. We shall continue the case of the state versus one Timothy Elwood. All right, Mr. Prosecutor.
Will Timothy Elwood take the stand? Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Sit down, please. We have already heard from our former witnesses that you outwardly threatened the life of the late Jeffrey Highgate, that you owed him a considerable amount of money. Now, Mr. Elwood, we should like to establish your exact whereabouts on the morning of the murder.
Where were you on the morning of March 28th of this calendar year?
I was at my home, 326 North Sycamore Street here in Wilmot.
I see. Now, according to the testimony of the county coroner, the murder of Mr. Highgate occurred between the hours of 10 and 11 of the morning of the 28th at the Highgate Hope, 1.25 miles distant from yours. Exactly where were you? What were you doing at that time?
My daughter's been ill for some time. I was reading her a book.
A book? Would you tell us the name of this book, please?
Little Women by Louisa May Alcott.
I see. Did you own this book personally, or had you borrowed it from the library?
It was a library book. Your Honor, my daughter could tell you that I'd read her the last few chapters that morning, but she's very sick now in the county hospital. You've got to believe me. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Silence in the court. Silence. Silence. There will be no further emotional displays, if you please. Answer the questions at hand. Continue, Mr. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Elwood, you claim you finished reading that book on that morning.
Yes.
What did you do with the book then?
About 11:15, 11:20, I walked over to the library and returned it.
On the morning of March 28th?
Yes.
Your Honor, I should like to introduce into the testimony of this trial Exhibit A, the book in question. Mr. Elwood, to your knowledge, is this the book? The book you returned on March 28th?
Yes. Yes, I think it is.
Mr. Elwood, would you open the book and read aloud from the borrowed and return slip in the back of this volume the date that it was actually returned?
March 27th.
Your Honor, I have something important to say.
Mr. Carter, you're out of order.
Maybe I am, Henry. I mean, Your Honor, but the whole thing's out of order.
Ben, if you've got some evidence to submit, do it through the proper channels. The prosecutor will call you as a witness.
It can't wait for all that. Now listen to me, everybody. Tim Elwood's right. That book wasn't returned until the 28th.
But it says the 27th.
I changed it. I deliberately changed it.
Changed it? What for?
I changed it. I changed it, Your Honor, so that I could stay in a fight.
What did the fine amount to?
The book was 1 day overdue. The fine was a penny. 1 penny.
Why, Ben, I sat in the city hall and watched you being honored for 40 years of honesty. Why would anybody want to steal a penny?
I did it. I did it. If you don't understand why I did it, I can't explain it to you. And now, if you don't mind, I'd like to return something to the citizens of this community. Something that belongs to him. And at the same time, I wish to resign as librarian. Here you are, Your Honor. It's a penny.
The end of the story? Well, Tim Elwood was released. Some tramp finally confessed to the killing. And Ben, he never went near the library again. You know, some people pine away because of a gal. I guess Ben got a broken heart, too. He missed the great, wonderful living warmth of that library. He missed helping out the 12-and-a-half-year-olds, going on 13. They just called me up to tell me that Ben Carter's dead. And how can I write this story? How can I put down a cold obituary about a guy like Ben Carter? It can't be said. Maybe we'll just print it this way. An editorial on the front page. When we were very young, we suddenly sailed beyond the limits of this town. The whole world suddenly belonged to us because of very... Oh, no. No good. Can't say anything fancy about Ben. Not even Shakespeare. Yeah. Shakespeare didn't say something. I see. Here.
one to remember whenever we look at a bookshelf or step into the living warmth of a library. And, of course, every time we look at the copper penny. The Copper Penny was the favorite story choice of producer-director Michael Curtiz. As always, our story was dramatized and directed by Lawrence and Lee. Our congratulations to Jack Webb, who played the reporter, and to Herb Butterfield, who was Ben. I'll return in a moment with a word about next week's favorite story.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. For more than 2 months, a wave of safe burglaries has been sweeping your city. Apparently, it's the work of professionals. The jobs are well planned, well executed. There's no lead to the whereabouts of the suspects. Your job, get them. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, June 8th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary division, safe detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. I was on the way back to the office, and it was 8:36 a.m. when I got to room 45, burglary division.
Joe?
Oh, hi, Smith.
There's a note in the book for us from the captain about your partner, Lockwood.
Yeah, what's that?
Forgot to make that sick report on him yesterday. Did you call him? How's his leg?
Well, I talked to him on the phone last night. Pretty bad ankle sprain. Doctor figures he'll be out for a couple of weeks anyway. Who's the fellow you got there?
Suspect Jones and McCready picked up on stakeout, drugstore, 3rd and Ventura.
What you got on him?
McCready says they picked him up about 4:45 this morning.
Yeah.
He and Jones were staked out inside the drugstore. Saw this fellow drive up in the car, get out, and try the front door of the place. And he went around and back of the place, tried the back door, and he came around in front again, tried to jimmy the door. Finally gave up, got in his car, and started to drive off. Jones and McCready followed him, picked him up, and brought him in.
Where's Jones and McCready now, do you know?
I told him to go ahead home. No reason for him to hang around. We carried the thing from here.
What have you done so far? Did you check him through R&I yet?
Call Frank Cunningham. He's doing it now.
What's his name?
According to his identification, it's Charles W. Boyd, and address is 239 West 92nd Street. That's what he tells us anyway.
Is that your name, fella?
Yeah, that's my name. Saw my identification. No reason for me to lie. You can check me out.
All right. Hold your hand up there. I'll get these cuffs off you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, there you are.
Yeah, thanks. Sure tired sitting here handcuffed, sitting in one place.
Frank, you want to tell Gaffney we'll be down in the interrogation room? When R&I calls back, tell him to transfer in there, would you?
Yeah, okay. I'll meet you there.
All right, thanks. All right, boy, let's go. I can talk to you down the hall.
Yeah, let's get this thing over with. I don't feel good. I want to get out of here.
What are you shaking for? There's nothing to get nervous about. Are you sick?
Yeah, I haven't been feeling good at all the last couple of days. Hey, wouldn't you know it? I was smoked. Hey, say, would you happen to have a cigarette, please?
Yeah. Here.
Thanks.
There's a light for you.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks.
All right. Turn around a minute, will you? Let me look at your eyes.
Huh?
Turn around. All right, let's go.
It's okay, Joe. I told Gaffney he'll put through the call tomorrow night.
Oh, that's fine. You sure this won't take long, man? I'd like to get out of here and get home. I've been sick for a week. I ought to be in bed right now.
We'll make it as fast as we can. All right, in here.
Have a chair, Boyd.
Yeah.
All right, mister. You say you're not feeling well, you're tired, you want to go home. So are we. We've been working all night. Now, how about getting to the bottom of this thing?
I'm sure I'm all for it. Try to explain to the guys who picked me up. I don't know what it's all about. Ask me anything you want.
Now, let's start it here, Boyd. What were you doing out there hanging around that drugstore at 4:45 this morning?
It's the same thing I told the other officers. I was sick. I wanted to get something for my nerves. Jumpy as a cat. I couldn't sleep.
Well, the drugstore was closed. That was pretty obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was. I just drove up there, tried the door, and I saw the joint was closed, so I left. That's all there is to it. Just what I told the other
No, that's not true, Boyd, and you know it isn't. You hung around the store for more than 10 minutes. You tried the front door, then you waited a couple of minutes. You went around to the back. You tried to get in back there. You couldn't make it, so you came around front again. You tried to jimmy the front door, didn't you?
No, that's not it. You got it all wrong.
How about this, Boyd? Is this your crowbar?
Yeah, what about it? Just a car tool used to fix flat tires. Carry it around all the time in the car.
You carry it on you?
No, not all the time. I just happen to have it, that's all.
Now, look, Boyd, that's not going to get it. The officers that picked you up saw you using this bar in the door of that drugstore. I thought you were willing to get on to facts. You were going to square with us. How about it?
Sure, I'll square with you. I wanted to get over as much as you do. Just tell me what you want to know.
All we want is the truth. This address on your ID, the one you gave us, is that your true address? You're living there now?
Yeah, that's right. Check it out if you want. I'm not lying. No reason to lie.
We think there is. This address of yours is just about 10 miles away from where you were picked up. Now you tell us how much sense it makes driving 10 miles to a drugstore at 4:30 in the morning.
Well, I had to. I was sick. It was the only place open.
You're lying and you know it, mister. You had to pass at least 2 all-night drugstores on the way. Why couldn't you stop at one of those?
I didn't see any stores open. I was sick. I just kept driving until I spotted a place I thought was open. Looked to me like it was open. A lot of lights in the window, inside the store, too. I didn't know it was closed, so I tried the door.
You usually try doors with a crowbar, Boyd?
Oh, look, what are you getting at? You think I was trying to break in that place?
Yeah, that's what we think.
Well, what for? Well, I want to break in there. I wanted to get something for my nerves, that's all. I wanted to find a drugstore. Why should I break or open a place and just get a bottle of medicine? Huh?
We don't think you were looking for medicine, Boyd.
Well, then what was it? Well, what do you figure?
This is what we figure, mister. You were going in that store to burglarize the safe. The area is the same, the time element's right, so is the type of business. The M.O. matches right down the line.
I don't know what you're talking about.
6 safe jobs in the last 2 months. The same time element, the same general area. Drugstores, liquor stores, and markets. What about it?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's the truth. I'm not a burglar. You got me wrong. I never touched a safe in my life.
How many times you been arrested, mister?
Huh?
How many times you been arrested?
Well, a couple of times. I've been picked up. Nothing serious, though, so help me. It's the truth. I never touched a safe in my whole life.
It's not going to do much good lying to us, Boyd. We'll get everything we need from records.
Well, I got a record. I ain't denying that, but I'm no burglar.
Now, what were you doing at 4:45 this morning trying to get in that drugstore if you're not a burglar?
I tried to explain to you. I wasn't trying to break in. I needed some medicine, something for my nerves. I thought the place was open. I'm a sick man. I swear on a Bible officer. That's just the way it was.
I get it. Yeah, Friday's on. Oh, yeah, Tony. Charles Boyd. Yeah, that's right. That's him. What do you got? Uh-huh. All the same. I see. Give me the last 2 arrests. No, the last 2 arrests again. Yeah. May 9th, May 22nd. All right, Cunningham. Yeah, thanks very much. Frank, you got that folder there, those crime reports?
Yeah, here you are. What do you have to say?
Boyd was in custody May 9th, May 22nd.
What was he in on?
Narcotics. He's a user. Long record. It's all the same, though. Never been picked up for anything but narcotics.
Just about rules him out, huh? 9th and the 22nd. If he was in jail, he couldn't have had anything to do with those last 2 jobs.
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
You got it straight now, huh? I told you. You thought I was lying, didn't you? I'm no burglar. You know what my record is. I never touched a safe in my life.
Just checking it out, Boyd. Sometimes it happens this way.
Sure. No hard feelings. I'll take off now and go home. I'm not feeling well at all. I guess it's okay.
No, you just sit still, Boyd. You're not going yet.
What do you mean?
Red tab on your card down at the Record Bureau. Your last arrest, May 22nd, violation State Narcotics Act. You went out on a $1,500 bail.
Yeah, that's right. It was all legal. I paid for it.
Why didn't you show up for your preliminary hearing? We got a bench warrant for your arrest.
Oh, no, they wouldn't do that to me, would they? I was sick in bed. I couldn't make it to court. You just look at me. You can tell, can't you? I ought to be in bed.
Yeah, you don't look good at all.
Of course I don't. I'm a sick man, really sick. I'll be in a hospital.
Well, maybe that's where they'll send you. We continued questioning the suspect, Charles Boyd, who finally admitted that he'd gone to the drugstore early that morning for the purpose of burglarizing the place to obtain narcotics. He told us it was his first attempt at burglary, and further interrogation proved beyond a doubt he had nothing to do with the current wave of safe burglaries. He was booked on the bench warrant, and narcotics detail was notified of his arrest.
For all practical purposes, we were right back where we'd started from 2 months before when the campaign of safe jobs first started. Boyd was just another in a long line of possible suspects who had to be tracked down and checked out. In the final analysis, they meant nothing to the case, but tracking them down and checking them out meant long hours of legwork, days, even weeks, and then more hours spent interrogating them. Boyd typified the possible suspect. He added nothing, but he couldn't be ignored. In the weeks that followed, stakeouts continued in the general area where the safe burglaries had been operating. No further leads. The investigation went on. On June 17th, Frank Smith and I drove out to the San Fernando Valley to check a lead on a possible suspect we'd gotten from one of our informants. His information was that the possible suspect, an ex-convict by the name of Mark Chandler, who'd served time for burglary, had apparently come into some money recently. Through the parole office, we located Chandler on a chicken ranch just outside of Van Nuys.
Yeah, I've been out here almost 3 months now. Nice life. Pretty hard work, though. Got a few routine questions for you, Mark. Like we told you with the burglary detail. I guess you know why we're out here.
Yeah, I think I get the idea. I admit there was a time when you wouldn't be very welcome, but right now it's different. Anything I can do to help, it's all right, fellas.
We're going to lay it right on the table for you, Mark. You own this place, do you?
Yeah, that's right. Me and my brother.
Where'd the money come from?
My brother. He set the whole thing up.
You say you and your brother. Whose money bought the place, Mark?
Well, my brother made the down payment. You can check on it. The whole deal went through escrow right down here at the local bank. What's the deal anyway? Didn't you check with my parole officer?
Yeah, we checked with Galloway. He told us you were still on active parole. You were running a chicken ranch. Didn't say it was for your brother, though.
Well, I thought I filled him in on it. I didn't have enough cash to swing the deal. My brother put up most of the dough. I only had $800.
That's your car back there in the driveway, Mark?
No, it's my brother's. Nice one, huh?
Yeah.
I got permission from the parole officer to drive. Say, would you mind walking back with me to the Brooder Shack? I got a new batch of Rhode Islands in this morning. Day-old chicks. Got to be sure the heat's right.
Yeah, all right.
There's a lot of work around a place like this. I just built those pens there.
They're nice.
Good-looking flock of chicks there, wouldn't you say? 4 weeks old. Those are bar drops. Notice how they're starting to feather out already, getting nice and heavy? Make wonderful fryers, you know.
Oh, that's all?
Oh, yeah. Just a minute. Hey, will you look at that mash rack? They like fiends. I just filled that thing an hour ago. That's where the money goes. You know that mash goes for better than $5 a sack?
Look, we don't want to take too much of your time, Chandler. We can see you're busy. We got a couple of dates we'd like to check with you. Where you were, what you did.
Oh, sure, fellow. Just let me check the temperature in the Brooder house here. It won't take a minute. Hey, come on in.
All right.
They're pretty cute when they're small, huh? Let me see here.
Just look at that, huh, Joe? Piled all over each other. Must be more than 1,000 of them.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, just right. 89. Got to watch them pretty close the first week. Fell up the road, lost a big batch last week. Heating element in the Brooder went out overnight. Oh, yeah, got to shove that door hard. Sticks a little.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, what else was it, officers? Glad to help you any way I can.
Those dates we want to check, Mark. It was almost a month ago, the week ending May 7th.
Yeah.
Can you account for your time on that weekend, where you were, what you did?
The 7th? Let's see. Yeah, I was here.
You any way of proving that?
Yeah, I think so. I started here the 23rd of April. Been here every night since.
Anyone we can check with on that?
Well, my brother and his wife. They were here, they can tell you. Neighbors, too. They come over for cards on the weekend. Come to think of it, I remember my parole officer was out to see me one of those weekends. I'm pretty sure of it. You can check with him.
All right, Mark, thanks.
Hey, what's the pitch anyway, Sergeant? The safe jobs around town, is that it?
That's it. You heard anything, Mark? Any rumbles at all?
No, sorry. This job keeps me pretty close to home. I don't get around at all. Maybe 2-3 nights a month. That's the only time I get out.
That's all we're asking about. Before we left the suspect, Mark Chandler, we called his parole officer, and he substantiated the fact that he visited with Chandler on the night of May 7th, the date of one of the safe burglaries. We checked with his brother, his sister-in-law, and the neighbors, and all of them fully corroborated his story. Before we left, we were satisfied that Chandler had nothing to do with the safe burglaries. It was just another of the more than 100 possibles that we'd checked out in the course of the investigation. On June 22nd, we got a lead on still another one. It came from the proprietor of a fix-it shop on West Pico Boulevard near Normandy. We drove out to interview him. He gave his name as Harold Van Owen.
Yeah, just a minute, officers. Be with you in a minute, all right?
Yeah, okay.
Have to get these keys made. The lady will be back soon. Says she needs them.
What time you got, Frank?
10 to 12. Getting hungry?
Well, I didn't have much breakfast. How about dropping by Felipe's, all right?
Suits me. I could use a good French dip sandwich. You haven't been down there for a while.
Well.
All right, officer. Sorry to keep you waiting. I had to get keys done. I promised the woman.
That's all right, Mr. Van Owen. Well, what was it you wanted to see us about?
Well, I don't know, to tell the truth. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing at all. I just don't know. Figured I ought to let somebody know about it, so.
Yes, sir?
A young fellow was in here the day before yesterday. Said his name was Ralph McKinley. Told me he lived around the neighborhood, but I don't think I ever saw him before. He didn't act right to me.
Mm-hmm.
Said he's an inventor. I doubt it, though. He just didn't look the part to me. A young fellow, you know, dresses pretty flashy. Never met an inventor that looked like that before.
Well, what do you want with you, sir?
He wanted me to make up a piece of machinery for him. He said it was a special part of a new gadget he was working on. He brought in his own drawing of the thing. I got it down here someplace.
Well, what did the young fellow look like? Would you remember that?
Oh, typical pool room cowboy, I guess. About 29, 30 years old. Thin side, tall. Got a lot of gray hair for a young fella. Hair was almost gray. Here's the drawing. This is what he wants me to make up for him.
What do you think it's supposed to be?
Miss McKinley said it was part of a new hydraulic press he's working on. I got a few doubts about that.
How do you mean?
Oh, I've been tinkering around in this business long enough to know what goes into a hydraulic press. Can't see where this thing fits in at all.
Well, what's your idea on it?
I think it's a pull. Only one job they're any good for.
Yeah.
Breaking into a safe.
Before we left the fix-it shop, Van Owen gave us a complete description of Ralph McKinley, the man who'd ordered the gadget made for him. We showed him several mug shots of possible suspects, but he was unable to make any identification. Van Owen told us that McKinley said he'd call back in about 3 or 4 days to pick it up. Except for the man's chance remark that he lived in the neighborhood, Van Owen had no idea as to his whereabouts. 12:10 p.m. We drove back to the office and made arrangements for an immediate stakeout at the fix-it shop. Then we checked the name and description of Ralph McKinley through R&I and through the stats office. It got us nothing. As far as we could find out, he had no previous criminal record. The end of the week came and went. The man known as McKinley failed to show up at Van Owen's fix-it shop to pick up the article that he'd ordered. 8 o'clock Monday morning, June 28th. We got the report when we checked in for work. Despite all precautions, another safe job had occurred over the weekend, this time at a liquor store on South Alvarado. The time, the area, and the MO were generally the same. Frank and I drove out to the location. The store was located in the middle of the block, directly beneath an apartment hotel. 2 of the rooms on the second floor of the hotel were situated above the liquor store. In one of these rooms, a hole had been ripped in the floor, a hole large enough to allow a man to pass through it and gain access to the liquor store directly beneath. After we checked over the room, we put in a call for Ray Pinker and the crime lab crew. Then we went downstairs to interview the manager of the hotel, Clyde Winters.
Yeah, I rented that room Friday night. A couple of young fellows. They checked in a few minutes before 7. I figure I'm a pretty good judge of faces. It sure didn't look like thieves to me.
How'd they register, Mr. Winters?
Well, one signed his name was Gordon. The other one was Richardson, I think. Yeah, the register's right outside on the desk. You can check it if you like.
Yes, sir, we'd like to do that. When these 2 men, Gordon and Richardson, checked in here, did they have any baggage with them? Would you know that?
Oh, yes. If they had baggage, they took most of it with them, though. They left a few old clothes behind. They must have left for the back way. Sometime late Sunday night, I figure. Imagine tearing up the floor of that room. The lousy bums. I sure like to get my hands on them.
Did they have a car, do you know?
Yeah, they had a car. I got the license number, too.
You think you'd recognize the 2 men if you saw them again?
Oh, I'd take them in a minute.
You sure of that, are you?
Positive. I'd know him in a minute, especially the young fellow Richardson. He could have been more than 27, 28 years old. Yeah. Hair was gray, almost completely gray.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke.
plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Monday, June 28th, 8:55 a.m. The crime lab crew arrived at the scene of the latest safe burglary, the liquor store on South Alvarado, and began their investigation. The store was gone over thoroughly, as well as the hotel room directly above it, through which the burglars had gained access by ripping a hole in the floor. In the store itself, a few feet from the safe, the men from the crime lab found what appeared to be a broken button, probably off a coat. They also found a crumpled envelope on the floor with the name F. Gordon on it, written in pencil. Along with the half a dozen pieces of clothing found in the hotel room, the items were taken back to the crime lab for further examination. 9:10 a.m. After we finished interviewing the hotel manager, Clyde Winters, Frank Smith and I returned to the office with the license number and description of the suspect's car, as well as exemplars of their handwriting which we'd obtained from the hotel register. We gave our DMV all the information on the car, and they began an immediate check. The vehicle was registered in the name of Ralph McKinley at a Bronson Avenue address. The legal owner was a local bank. We checked the Bronson Avenue place, but they told us there that the man known as McKinley had moved out 7 months before. They had no information on his whereabouts. 10:20 a.m. We talked to the people at the bank which held the pink slip on the car. They told us that the last 2 monthly payments on the car had been mailed in from a Clifford Street address. Frank and I drove out to the location, a one-story duplex apartment building near the intersection of Clifford and Beverly Boulevard.
Nice units, aren't they? Run up all over town.
They seem to be, don't they?
I'll get it.
Yeah?
Your name Ralph McKinley?
Yeah, that's right. Police officers, you want to get your coat, McKinley? I'd like to talk to you downtown.
What for? What's it all about?
Anybody else living here with you?
No, just myself. Look, you mind telling me what this is all about?
Got a few questions we'd like to ask you. It won't take long.
I can't go with you now. I got a business appointment, half an hour. I've been out of town the last couple of months. I'm due back on the job today.
That's all?
Yeah, I just can't spare the time. Appointments all day long. I got a whole flock of business I have to clear up.
Well, that makes us even. Come on, let's go. Well, there wasn't much doubt about McKinley. He fitted the suspect's description almost perfectly. Tall, slight build, approximately 29 years of age, prematurely gray hair. We went over the apartment, but there was no sign of anyone else on the premises. No sign of any of the loot taken in the burglary. We checked the adjoining garage, but it was empty. The suspect refused to admit that he even owned a car. Frank got on the phone, called the office, and arranged for an immediate stakeout on the apartment. When the men arrived, we drove McKinley back to the city hall and took him to the interrogation room. He was arrogant and uncooperative. We talked to him for a full hour, but he'd admit nothing. Frank left and went down the street to the crime lab to check with Ray Pinker on his findings. I continued questioning McKinley.
I don't care what the old man says. I don't know what you're talking about.
He described you perfectly. He says you were in his fix-it shop a little over a week ago. You told him you were an inventor. You ordered this gadget from him here.
I don't get it. What's that supposed to prove?
Well, you admit you went to the old man. You had him make this thing up for you, didn't you?
I don't admit anything. Why should I?
All we're looking for is a straight story. We're going to get it sooner or later, McKinley. Might as well be now.
You're getting nothing from me. I don't have to tell you a thing.
How about the hotel over on South Alvarado? You stay there last weekend?
No, of course not. Why should I go to a hotel? I stayed at my place.
Thought you said you'd been away. You just got back in town.
Sure, that's what I said. I just got back last week.
Well, then you didn't stay at that hotel on South Alvarado.
I told you I didn't. I don't even know the place.
But you know Mr. Van Owen, the old fellow at the fix-it shop.
I don't know him either. I don't even go near that end of town.
What end of town?
What are you talking about? Where you said the shop is?
I didn't mention where it was. I asked you if you knew a Mr. Van Owen, if you ever went to his fix-it shop to order anything.
Look, what are you lying for? What's the angle?
No angle, McKinley. I told you I like to have a straight story, that's all.
Well, you got it, mister. You heard everything I had to say. I don't know any old man. I don't know anything about that hotel.
Friday talking. Yeah, Doc. How'd it go? Uh-huh. I see. Yeah, we'll pick it up. No, we'll pick it up. Right. Thanks a lot. You don't lie very good, McKinley.
Now, what are you talking about?
That was our handwriting man. He just finished checking those exemplars of your handwriting we got from you. He compared them to a signature in the register at the hotel on South Alvarado.
I already told you. I don't know the place.
Young fellow by the name of Richardson checked in there Friday night about 7 o'clock. He signed the register. The signature's in your handwriting, McKinley.
Yeah, sure.
That's right.
I don't know the place. I've never been there.
Now, look, you're going to have to do better than that, fella. The hotel manager's on his way down here now to identify you. So's Mr. Van Owen from that fix-it shop. Maybe you better piece together a new story, huh?
You got my story, cop. I was out of town. You can't prove I wasn't.
All right, McKinley, any way you want it.
Joe?
Hi, how'd it go?
Pretty good. Ray Pinker finished checking that stuff at crime lab. Here's a report on it.
Thank you.
Just about sews it up, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, what is it this time? More of your phony charges? I want out of here.
Can't be done, McKinley. Report on the clothes found in that hotel room.
They're not my clothes. I wasn't even in the place.
I'd say you were. Cleaning tags on a pair of trousers and one of the coats. Traced them through the dry cleaners to you.
It's a lie. I told you I wasn't in the place.
There's something else here, fella. They ran tests on all the clothes they found in your room. They found particles of fire clay from the safe that you broke into down below in the liquor store. Your coat, your trousers, they were covered with the stuff.
Save your breath, will you?
And when you ripped up the floor of that hotel room, you picked up something else on the clothes. Particles of floor varnish. Small bits of wood, they all tie in.
You through?
No, not quite. A piece of broken coat button we picked up a couple of feet from the safe. They matched it up with one of the buttons on your coat, a broken one. The pieces fit perfectly.
Kinley, how about it?
Got my story.
No, you got a lot to explain.
I'll take my chances.
What's the pitch, McKinley? You know you got to come up with a story. It might as well be now.
There's no story to it. I was out of town. I told you that.
Why don't you get off it, mister? It's not going to take much to make a liar out of you. You know that, don't you?
Look, why don't you get off my back, the two of you? I told you everything I'm going to tell you.
Sit down, McKinley.
I'm getting out of
here.
Sit
down.
All right. Go ahead. I can wait it out as long as you can.
I doubt that.
I'll get it.
All right.
Smith speaking. How's it? Oh, yeah, Jim. What is it? That's right. When? Mm-hmm. Fine. Yeah, thanks. Here's some news for you, McKinley.
Yeah?
Your partner came back to your place a few minutes ago. Our men picked him up. They're bringing him in now.
Well, there's news to me. I don't have any partner. I'm in business for myself.
That's what your partner figures. Tell me he claims you got all the money. He thinks you were trying to run out on it.
Oh, what money? Look, I showed you my wallet. You know how much I got.
Well, we're going to ask you just once more.
You got it. There's nothing else to say.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, let's book him in. According to Rogers, his partner's willing to talk. We'll get the story from him.
All right, McKinley, let's go.
What do you mean, go where?
Main jail. We're booking you in.
Come on, let's go.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. Come on.
What did he say anyway, this guy you say they picked up?
Oh, your partner? Well, we told you what he said. Why? What's the matter?
Nothing. I'm just there.
Better order up a stenographer, huh, Joe? Have her ready to take the statement when they bring the guy in.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Let's go back, I'll tell you.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 19th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 91, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, just a parting word about Fatima. I know a lot of you have promised yourself that you'd give Fatima's a try, but, well, you just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I'd appreciate it if you'd kind of keep us in mind the next time you buy cigarettes and ask your dealer for Fatimas. You'll find Fatima gives you more for your money. Compare them with any other king-size cigarette, and you'll find Fatima does have a better flavor and aroma. You'll like its extra mild and soothing smoke. Tomorrow, buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Ralph Arthur McKinley and his accomplice, John Warren Hatfield, were tried and convicted on 6 counts of second-degree burglary. They received sentences as prescribed by law. Second-degree burglary is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail for not more than 1 year, or by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 1 nor more than 15 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, to protect our nation and the free world against communist aggression, we must produce vast quantities of guns, planes, tanks, and explosives. Defense of our country against aggression abroad and inflation at home depends on our ability to fill both our military and civilian requirements. Remember, the better we produce, the stronger we grow.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Harry Bartell, Stacey Harris, Jack Crucian. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gipney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
There's
more adventurous entertainment with Night Beat next on NBC.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to vice detail. A professional gambling ring has set up operations in your city. Dozens of citizens are being victimized. The gamblers keep on the move, changing their locations day to day. Your job? Get them. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 9th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of vice detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Lieutenant Bingham. My name's Friday. It was 4:20 p.m. when I got to the second floor of the old Central Jail building. Vice detail.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Bill. You show up yet?
Yeah, waiting in the next room.
Oh, fine. You talked to him yet?
No, he just came in a couple of minutes ago. Figured I'd wait for you.
Well, how's he seem? Sober? Looks like he's off the leash?
Yeah, he looks pretty good. Shaved, cleaned up a little.
Fine. Dave, how are you?
Oh, hiya, Friday. Thought I'd drop by and see you. Remember you were talking to me last week about that thing.
You hear anything, Dave?
Yeah, I think I might have something for you. I think it's what you're looking for. Tried to get you on the phone last night. You weren't in.
Well, you should have left a message.
Oh, I didn't want to do that. You know how it is. Guess I shouldn't even be coming up here like this.
You got some kind of a permanent address, Dave? Phone number? Someplace we can contact you?
No, I'm still floating around a little.
Mm-hmm. Now, about this thing we were talking about, what'd you hear?
I picked up a little chatter. I think it's what you want. Say, you fellas had your coffee. I haven't had mine. What do you say?
Okay, how about the place down the corner?
Fine with me.
All right, if you want to check us out, Bill, tell him we'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you. All right, Dave, we walk this way.
Okay. You're looking pretty good, Friday. World treating you okay?
Well, I can't complain, I guess. Go ahead.
Thank you. Guess we better wait for your partner, huh? What's his name?
Lockwood.
Oh, yeah, sure.
The skipper's got something for us when we get back, Joe.
All right.
You're looking pretty good yourself, Lockwood. Yeah, real good.
You seem to be in pretty fair shape. That pocket's full of change sounds healthy.
It's not too good. Still got a few dimes to rattle. Hasn't been coming too fast lately, though.
Mm-hmm. You still setting pins down there at that bowling alley?
Yeah, uh-huh. A lot of help hanging around, though. We really got to hustle for it.
That's so.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the alley's changing over to those automatic machines, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few guys out. A lot of the machines can set pins better than a man can.
Hi, Matthews. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Hi, Bill. What do you say, Jack?
Yeah. Who's that guy?
He works out of the office. Why?
Nothing. I thought I'd seen him around. Yeah.
No, down this way, Dave. Just a couple of doors.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, did you hear anything about Tony? You know if he's in town?
No, I've been working on it. That dirty Tony. He's not going to show.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, why don't you two grab the back table? I'll order up.
All right, fine, Bill.
Black with sugar, huh?
All right. Cream and sugar for you, Joe?
Yeah, that's fine. Bring a couple of those jelly donuts, would you?
Okay.
All right. Well, what's the story, Dave? What do you hear?
Well, I heard about it last night, right after I left the alley. You told me to keep my ears open, you know.
Yeah.
Said you figured there might be something on that new bunch hanging around the bar down from the alley. You figured they might tie in with a new bunch of high rollers in town.
Yeah. What'd you pick up?
I think you figured right, from what I heard anyway.
Here you go. Have a donut, Dave?
Oh, yeah, thanks. You make a fine waiter, Lockwood.
Thanks. We don't get a lead pretty soon. I may have to take it up.
Dave was just telling me that he figures he might have something for us. He picked it up at the spot down from the alleys last night.
Well, like I said, after I was through at the alleys, I stopped by the place and had a couple of beers. Can't afford anything else. A few nickels they pay me. Lucky to get enough to eat the way things are going.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, I know. Well, what's the pitch you got, Dave?
Well, I was sitting there having a beer, and a couple of those new faces were sitting next to me. So I put my ear out and tried to pick up some of the talk.
Yeah.
I couldn't get all of it, but I did get enough to make out there's going to be a big game tonight. From what I could get, there's going to be a lot of scraps floating around.
You hear what it's going to be, Dave?
I had to play it careful, Couldn't be too nosy.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I sat and had another beer, and one of the new monks heard the other guy call him Mike, I think. He asked the bartender for change to make a phone call. He got the change, went over the wall phone. I got up and drifted over that way. And made out like I was watching the shuffleboard. I caught some of his talk.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, he was talking about some big game tonight. I heard him say to the guy on the other end not to show up before 11:30.
To get an address?
Yeah, Said he'd be back of an empty store building down on Gibbons Avenue.
You get a number?
9122.
What was that again? 9122, is that right?
Yeah.
Gibbons, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. As soon as I get out of the place, I wrote it down. Wait a minute. I got it. Let's see. Yeah, 9122 Gibbons. That's it.
Now, this fellow that made the phone call, you say his name was Mike, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I heard his partner call him. He's kind of a short guy, like 35, 36 on the fat side, black hair.
Mike Filmer.
You know him?
Yeah, we've had an eye on him. Thought he might figure in.
Not about the size of it, Dave? Is that all you heard?
Yeah, that's about it, Friday. As soon as he finished the phone call and his partner left, I finished my beer and left, too. I had to. Couldn't afford another one. Real tough these days.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Well, don't mention it. You've always done all right by me. Donut sure tasted great. Still hungry. The way I feel I could take on a 3-inch steak.
I'm sorry things aren't better for you, Dave. How about a 10 spot? Will that help you?
It sure will, Friday. Thanks a lot, huh? You really can use it.
Well, I'm glad to help you. You're always helping us.
You sure make it nice. I mean, you make it nice and easy on a guy.
How do you mean?
Well, it's always there first. I never have to come right out and ask.
Okay.
Good, though. You always get the pitch, don't you?
Almost a month before, we had begun receiving complaints about a newly established gambling ring which had set up operations in the city. After the first few complaints, we succeeded in identifying some of the men involved in the ring and also some of the places they frequented. The nature of most of the complaints against them was such that we knew we were dealing with a well-organized criminal element. Even if a player happened to win at one of the games, after he left the location, he was beaten and robbed. Despite the fact that we had some of the suspects identified, we still lacked sufficient evidence to prosecute them successfully. The various victims either would not or could not identify the suspect. We knew the gang was running 3 or 4 games a week, each one of them at a different location, each one of them at a different time. In the trade, that's known as a floating game. After we left our informant, Dave Carter, we headed back to the office and briefed Lieutenant Bingham. That afternoon, we checked the address on Gibbons Avenue and found it to be a vacant store building with a for rent sign in the window. There was an entrance in front and one in the rear, windows along both sides of the building, and a plasterboard partition dividing the inside of the store into 2 parts. The place was deserted. At 10 o'clock that night, Bill Lockwood and I staked out in our car down the street from the store. Sergeant Fred Taylor and Jack Matthews were staked out in their car from another point of observation. We were in constant touch with each other by 3-way radio. 10:30, 11 p.m., 11:30.
1K87 to 1K80, come in.
1K80 to 1K87, go ahead.
Joe, did you notice the lights come on in the back of the store a minute ago?
Yeah, 2 men. They went in the back way, parked their car just down the street from us here. You see anything else?
Car just pulled up down the street from us. 2 men getting out, heading for the store. Joe, just a minute. Yeah, they're going that way. They're going around the back, Joe. Looks like it's going to pay off. Let's sit on it a while. KMA 367.
We waited. 11:45. A blue pickup truck pulled up and stopped a short way from the front entrance to the store. We saw 2 men get out and go around to the back of the truck and unload half a dozen large boxes, which they carried around to the rear entrance of the place. One of the men came back, got in the cab of the truck, and sat there. Midnight, 12:15 a.m. Over a period of half an hour, we watched 18 persons arrive from different directions and enter the store from the rear. 12:30, 1 a.m. There were no new arrivals. We waited.
1K87 to 1K80, come in.
1K80 to 1K87, go ahead.
Not much activity down here, Joe. Looks like it's pretty well set. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we might as well hit it. Same way we laid it out, huh, Fred? We'll wait until Matthews picks up the lookout, the man sitting in the truck.
Right, Joe. Jack, you want to go ahead and grab him, go away. He's on his way, Joe.
Okay, as soon as he picks him up, we meet in front of the place. Bill and I'll take the front. You cover the back. You got that?
Okay, Joe. Oh, hold on a minute, will you? Yeah, Jack got him. Bring him back to the car.
Okay, let's go. KMA 367. You got the car keys, Joe?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
You figure that's the best way, Joe, too, is going in the front?
Well, that's probably where the rush is going to be. When Fred goes through the back, they're sure to start for the front.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah.
Jack's got the lookout in our car. He'll wait for us.
Right. Now, what do you think about this, Fred? You go around and hit the back door. As soon as I hear you inside, they'll probably start for the front. We'll take care of them there.
That's a good idea. Give me half a minute to get back there. Huh?
Right. Watch yourself.
All right, Joe?
Let's go.
We're still going, not wise to it.
Yeah, let's hold it right there.
Police officer, you're under arrest now. Hold it right there.
Come on, Bill. Let's hit it.
Back, Joe.
Yeah, come on.
All right, get back there, Walter. Get back. Police officers.
Come on, back against the wall.
Going out the windows, Joe. Fred. I think get back against the wall, all of you.
All right, I'll cover him. You get back and see what happens to Fred.
Right.
All right, mister. With the rest of them there. Back against the wall.
All right, I'm going. What's the beef about anyway? Just
All right, all of
game?
you. Turn around. Face the wall. Put your hands against the wall.
What's the pitch anyway? Treating us like a bunch of thieves. You're just having a little fun. No harm done.
Joe. Yeah, did you find Fred? What happened?
He's been shot, hurt bad. Matthews is in with him now. I'll call the ambulance. Get some help.
All right. All right, you two. In with the others. Back against the wall.
What's the beef? Sure, a big noise about nothing. We're here to play a little cards, friendly game, just $1 limit. Nobody ever gets hurt. We're all friends.
Is that why you carry guns? 1:20 a.m. The ambulance arrived, and Sergeant Fred Taylor was taken immediately to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital in a critical condition. He'd been shot twice through the upper portion of the chest. He'd been unconscious from the time of the shooting. Who the assailant was, we had no idea. The crime lab arrived at the scene and began their preliminary investigation. Meantime, homicide officers had arrived, and all units in the area were assisting in the investigation, making a house-to-house canvass and checking all backyards, alleys, and unoccupied buildings for possible suspects in hiding. Out of the total number of men present in the store at the time of the shooting, Bill and I had been able to detain 9 of them. The remainder had either scrambled out side windows or the rear door and then apparently made their way over back fences. The 9 we did get were taken downtown for interrogation. All of them had been searched, but no weapons had been found. Bill Lockwood and I remained at the scene assisting the homicide officers. 2:05 a.m. An additional 4 men who'd been present at the gambling game that night were picked up in the area, transported downtown, and held along with the other 9 at homicide detail. 2:20 a.m. Bill and I were called downtown to assist in the questioning. We got nowhere with the first 3 suspects. It was the same with the 4th.
You expect us to believe that, Mike? Well, it's the truth. I don't know anything about it.
Now, look, Mike, let's put it on the table, huh? We listened to your line of chatter down at the store when we made the pinch. We heard it all. Now, let's get on to facts.
I told you everything I know, no different than the other guys you picked up. I heard there was going to be a game tonight, so I came down.
Who'd you come down with? How'd you get there?
I drove, came by myself.
Where'd you park your car?
About 2 blocks away, a little alley there. By a gas station.
You're a liar, mister, and you know it.
Well, it's the truth, so help me. If I knew there was going to be trouble, I wouldn't even have showed up. I'd play a few cards, sure. I don't go in for heavy stuff, though. I haven't got anything to do with the game.
You're a liar.
You can't say that. Now, you show me where I've lied to you. Tell me. We were staked out on that place tonight, Mike. It was a little past 11:45. You drove up in a blue pickup truck. Another man was with you. You were driving. Oh, no, you got it wrong.
No, we haven't got it wrong. You parked that truck about 10 yards down the street from the front of the store. You got out first. The other man followed you. You unloaded 6 large cartons from the truck. Some of the equipment we found in the store. You took it around back and into the rear door, didn't you?
You got it wrong. It wasn't me. It couldn't have been me. Come off it, Mike. The man you were with, we've got him down the hall. The other officers have talked to him. They gave him the straight story.
But I didn't come with any other guy. Now, will you listen to me? I knew some of them there. I'll admit that. I came by myself.
Now, you listen to me, mister. You get this through your head. Get it once and for all. This isn't a gambling beef anymore. Somebody's been shot. He's been hurt bad.
Well, that's not my fault. I didn't shoot him. I don't know anything about it.
You know more than you're telling. You lied about coming there in that truck. We saw you. Something else. The truck's been checked out. It's registered in your name. Now, you come up with an answer for that one fast.
Well, I don't get it. Maybe my truck is down there. If it is, I don't know how it got there.
You're in a jam, Mike. This isn't any misdemeanor rap. I think the sooner you realize that, the better it's going to be
Look,
for you.
You don't have to tell me it's serious. I know that. Now, what do you want from me anyway?
You know what we want. You know the answers, and we want them. You're part of that gambling setup. We know that. We know who was there tonight. Everybody. We want the names of every one of them. Now, either you got the answer to that shooting or somebody in that crowd had. We're going to get the answer, Mike. Don't make any mistake about it. We're going to get it.
Now, what do I have to say to convince you you're talking to the wrong guy?
Not according to the man they got down the hall, the one in the pickup truck with you. He gave us the whole story. You hired him to help you tonight. You were going to pay him $20. He helped you haul the equipment to the store, and he was supposed to be the lookout at the front door. It ties in all the way. How about it?
All right. Now, you've been calling people liars, huh? Well, he's the liar. The whole lousy story is nothing but a lie.
All right, keep quiet. Friday talking. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, all right. Yeah. Yes, sir, thank you. Now, you listen, Mike. Here's a piece of advice. You make up your mind.
Now, how do you mean make up my mind? I'm trying to cooperate. You don't believe me. I'm trying to help you out every way I can. I'm only too glad to give you a hand. I know you got a tough job. You got my
Now, don't you worry about us, mister. From here in, start worrying about yourself. You're going to do a lot of it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That policeman, he just died.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Tuesday, February 10th, 5:30 a.m. Sergeant Fred Taylor had died at approximately 5:22 a.m. Cause of death was listed as hemorrhage and shock due to the 2 gunshot wounds in the chest. Officers from the medical detail had rushed Taylor's wife from his home to the receiving hospital. She was with him at the time of his death. Unfortunately, he never regained consciousness. 5:45 a.m. While the investigation went on at the scene of the murder, Bill Lockwood and I continued our interrogation of the suspect, Mike Filmer. Another hour of questioning, and he still refused to tell us anything. We finally confronted him with the man we'd seen him arrive with at the location of the gambling game earlier that morning. Another 10 minutes of questioning, and he finally broke down.
Why didn't you tell us that to begin with?
Well, believe me, I wanted to. I was scared. I was scared to death. I never had anything like this happen to me before. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say.
All right, this is a complete list of everybody you saw there last night. Everybody who was in that game.
Well, yeah, I think it covers it. Now, let me see it.
All right, here you are.
Yeah, just about everybody.
These are the only addresses you got, just these 3 here.
Yeah, that's it. No, I'm not lying now, believe me. Those are the only ones I know of.
All right, so you had a hand in the game. You brought in the equipment. You were working for the house.
Yeah, that's right.
Then who's the boss, Mike? Who's running the game?
What about it? Who's running it?
Look, I've told you everybody that was there, everybody. He wasn't there that night. He couldn't have had anything to do with
Mike, we didn't ask you that. We asked you who the boss is. What's his name? Now, how about it? We want his name.
But I told you he wasn't there last night. If he wasn't there, he couldn't have had anything to do with it. Look, he's a nice guy. He doesn't want trouble any more than I do. He couldn't tell you.
You let us figure that out, will you? Now, who's the boss, Mike?
Does it have to be? Is that important?
We wouldn't be asking you. Who is he?
George Delano. Now, that's all I know about him, his name.
How does he spell his last name? What's he look like?
Well, I guess it's Delano. I never saw him write it down, though. I've only known him about a month, maybe 5 weeks.
What's his description?
Well, he's taller than I am, about 5 feet 10, 11 maybe. Dark hair. A little bit on the heavy side. Like me, I guess. Man about 45, 50.
Where does he live? Where do we find him?
I don't know where he lives. Some hotel downtown, I think. The only times I ever met him was at a bar.
Which bar? Where about?
South end of town. Down in Vermont. I don't know the address, but I can point it out to you. It's a couple of doors down from Big Bowling Alley.
Right across from a theater, woman's dress shop next door.
Yeah, that's right. That's the place. The only place I've ever seen him. He always calls me at home and tells me where to meet him.
You mean to say you've been working for this Delano and you don't even know where he lives?
Well, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm squaring with you. I really don't know. Friday, talk to you, man?
Yeah, sir. I'll be right back now. What do you got, Sam?
Charlie Hart and I just got back from the place down on Gibbons Avenue, the store.
Yeah.
Thought you'd like to know. We found a gun in the back of the place hidden under a lumber pile.
All right. You check it out?
Yeah, I ran through gun records. It's registered.
What's the name?
George Delano.
7:38 a.m. With the new lead on the alleged boss of the gambling ring, George Delano, we interrupted our questioning of the suspect, Mike Filmer. We took him down the hall back to the homicide squad room to be held for further interrogation. We checked Delano through R&I, but we had no record on him. Then, along with Sergeant Sam Flowers and Charlie Hart of Homicide, we drove out to the address of George Delano as listed in the gun registration files. It was a small cottage in the Wilshire area. The woman who answered the door identified herself as Mrs. George Delano, the suspect's wife. She called her husband to the door. We identified ourselves, briefed him on the reason for our visit, and told him we wanted to talk to him downtown. He appeared cooperative, more than willing to come along. He got dressed. We drove him back to the city hall and took him to the interrogation room. He was well-dressed and, in his own way, well-mannered. After being told of the situation, he admitted freely that he'd been operating games at different locations throughout the city for the past month and a half. He told us that he'd employed Mike Filmer to assist him in his operations, and he also admitted ownership of the gun found near the murder scene. The gun had since been checked by Russ Camp and ballistics and found to be the murder weapon.
Well, yes, it's my gun, but I'd like to explain a little bit about it.
What's that, Delano?
Well, number one, I admit I'm a gambler. That's my racket. I'm new to Los Angeles. I even admit I've been working a few games, but I'm no murderer. I wouldn't have any part of it.
You said you were going to explain about the gun. Now, what about it?
Now, look, I'd like to fill you in on everything, officers. I got nothing to hide from you. I'll tell you everything.
Now?
When I first came to this town, as I say, it's been about 5-6 weeks, I made a few connections, and I started running these games. For the first couple of weeks, everything went fine. No beefs, everything was fine. All I had to do was dodge you fellas, and then the trouble started in.
How do you mean?
You mind if I have a smoke? I'm a little upset.
All right, go ahead.
You care for one?
No, nothing.
Yeah. I want to fill you in from the start. I want to clear this whole thing up.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah. Well, as I told you, first few weeks, everything was fine. Then one night when the game was just about ready to break, a couple of punks came in, held us up. They cleaned everybody in the place, made a big haul.
When was this? Where did it happen?
Down on the east side. Punks took us for everything. You know how it is. Couldn't make a report to you. I just had to take it, cover the losses myself.
Yeah, now how about that gun?
I'm coming to it. This thing happens, and I figure that's the end of it. But no, a couple of nights later, they hit again. I still can't squat. I have to stand the losses. Another couple of nights, they knock us over again. Couldn't do a thing about it. Losing
all right, we've heard all that. That's your racket. You can expect it. All we want to know is about that gun. Now, what's your story?
I told you I was coming to it. After the third time they reached us, I hired a guard. Somebody stand watch outside in case of another stick-up. The only thing I could do.
Yeah?
Well, so I hired some guy to stand guard on the game. Loaned him my gun in case there was any trouble.
And you told him to use it in case there was trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
How about a raid from the police? You tell him to use it for that?
No. Matter of fact, I made a point of telling him about that. All he was supposed to use the gun for was just to fire it up in the air, maybe scare those punks off and warn the guys inside at the same time.
We'll talk about that later, Delano. We want to know who had the gun last night.
Well, the guard did. I told you I loaned him the gun.
Who was the guard? What's his name? Where do we find him?
His name's Jake. A friend of mine got him for me. See, Jake Gleason. That's his Gleason.
Where's he live?
Couldn't tell you that. I don't know. I always contacted him at a bar in South Vermont, place I go quite a bit. Be a little too early to catch him there now.
What do you know about this Gleason? What's he look like?
I don't know. I haven't seen him much. I guess you'd say he's about 32, 33. Kind of light brown hair, tall. Ex-con, I think. Either he told me or somebody told me he did time.
You knew he was an ex-con and you gave him your gun?
Well, yeah, but I didn't tell him to shoot anybody. I made a point of telling him that. The dumb jerk, especially shooting a cop. All he was supposed to do was fire up in the air if those punks came around, scare him away. To help me, that's the only time he was supposed to use the gun. I told him that.
Not much of a story, Delano. Can you prove it?
Sure, I can prove it. You can ask Mike Filmer. He'll tell you the same thing. You can ask Gleason himself. The dumb jerk. Mike said he wasn't too sharp, a little punchy, wasn't quite right in the head.
What's that?
I said he was a little punchy, wasn't quite right in the head, Gleason.
You mean you met him in a bar? You didn't know anything about his background. You knew he was an ex-con. You had an idea he wasn't too sharp. Maybe he wasn't all there. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about it.
And you put this man on the spot where you knew he'd be in trouble, and then you gave him a gun. Is that right? How about it, Delano?
What are you looking at me for? I told the dumb jerk what to do. I didn't tell him to shoot anybody. Punch drunk boozer.
Yeah.
It's the truth. I didn't have a thing to do with it. I hired the guy, that's all. It's not my fault. What are you looking at? I wasn't even there. I didn't even know about it. I didn't kill that cop.
Didn't you? 9:23 a.m. We continued questioning George Delano. He told us that he'd instructed Jake Gleason, the ex-convict, to stand guard at the rear of the store where the gambling games were held. He insisted that his instructions to Gleason were that if he had to fire the gun at all, he was to fire it in the air, and then only as a warning signal in case of robbery attempt. Delano was detained by homicide officers pending further investigation. We checked the name and description of Jake Gleason through R&I and found his record and mugshot. We showed the mug to Delano, and he identified it. Gleason's record showed him to be on active parole. 10:30 a.m., we contacted the parole office. They gave us his address, and Bill and I checked it out, a second-rate hotel on South Flower Street. The manager told us Gleason had left the hotel about 7:45 that morning and that he was not expected back until after 6 o'clock that night. He also told us there was a chance we might locate him in one of the bars around the neighborhood. 10:45. We started making the rounds of the bars in the immediate vicinity. The third place we stopped at was practically deserted. The jukebox at the back of the place was turned up to full volume. There was a smell of disinfectant, whiskey, and stale perfume. There was one customer drinking at the far end of the bar. It was Gleason.
Stand up, police officer.
All right. Take him down, Bill.
Clean, Joe.
All right. Hands in back of you. Yeah, we want to kill that jukebox, Bill.
Yeah.
All right, you know why we want you.
Yeah, I know. Knew there wasn't any sense running. I knew you'd be around.
All right, let's go.
Could you do me a favor? Wait a minute, just a minute.
Yeah?
Just like to tell you I didn't mean it. I guess it's my own fault. I shot him. I shouldn't have had the gun. Shouldn't have taken the job. I shot him. I didn't mean it.
All right, come on.
There ought to be a way, don't you think? There really ought to be a way.
What's that?
I didn't mean it. No reason to kill him. I didn't even know him. I just keep thinking there's only a way if I could take it back again, you know?
Yeah, we know.
If I could go back and change it, make it all different. Right from the beginning, I wouldn't even look at a gun. I'd change everything. I bet I would. I wouldn't even look at a gun. If I only had the chance, you know? Second chance. There ought to be a way. Second chance.
You started with a gun, Jay.
Yeah?
You never had a first one.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 22nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, Fatima gives you more for your money because no other king-size cigarette can match Fatima quality. Because Fatima's length filters and cools the smoke for your protection. Gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size. I'm convinced that you'll agree with me once you try them. Get a pack of Fatimas next time you buy cigarettes. Fatima, an extra mild and soothing smoke. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Jacob Allen Gleason was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and was sentenced to a life term in the state penitentiary. George Delano, Mike Filmer, and all other principals were found guilty of violating the municipal code 43.01, gambling, and received sentences as prescribed by law. George Delano and Mike Filmer were sentenced to 6-month terms in the county jail. Others received proportionate sentences.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Fox, Director on the Executive Board of the Mystery Writers of America.
Tonight it is with a great deal of pleasure that I, speaking for the entire membership of the Mystery Writers of America in all fields, present the Edgar Allan Poe Award for the second consecutive year for the finest radio presentation in its class, Dragnet. To you, Jack Webb, and your fine group of technicians responsible for the overall production of Dragnet, we present this statuette of one of the immortals in the field of mystery, Edgar Allan Poe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fox, and thanks also to the membership of the Mystery Writers of America.
And standing by to receive his award, also for the second consecutive year, as the outstanding radio writer in his field, and for the consistent job he does on Dragnet, Jim Moser. Here is your statuette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fox.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's seldom indeed when the writer of any radio show receives his just and due acclaim. It's with the greatest of pleasure that we accept the Edgar Allan Poe Awards, as it is primarily a writer's award. All of us who have had a hand in bringing Dragnet into your homes each week are proud of our writer, Jim Moser. For as anyone in radio will readily go on record by saying and knowing that you're only as good as the script you read. So it's with deep gratitude that we receive the MWA Award, which best illustrates and confirms the high opinion which we all hold of our writer, Jim Moser.
Thank you, Jack, and I'd like to express my special appreciation to our technical advisors from the Los Angeles Police Department, without whom none of this would be possible.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Martin Milner, Eddie Firestone, Whit Connor. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now it's Counter Spy on NBC.